Do you know the history and quality of the top foods on your favorite food list? Today, we are diving deep into one of the most consumed, most overlooked, and most fascinating leafy greens in the entire history of human civilization. We are talking about lettuce, the humble leaf that has traveled through empires, survived wars, inspired myths, and quietly found its way onto nearly every plate across the globe. The Lettuce 500, a journey through 500 remarkable facts about this extraordinary plant. Please let us know in the comments where you are watching this history video and what time you are watching it. And be sure to subscribe to our channel for more history videos in the future. Now let us begin. When you sit down at a table and see a salad placed before you, chances are you barely give the lettuce a second thought. It is just there. It is green. It is crisp. It is the foundation beneath the dressing, beneath the croutons, beneath the tomatoes and the cucumbers. But what if we told you that this simple leaf has one of the most extraordinary histories of any food on the planet? What if we told you that kings and pharaohs once treasured it, that ancient physicians prescribed it as medicine, that entire economies once revolved around it, and that its journey from a wild, bitter weed to the tender, sweet green you know today is a story spanning thousands upon thousands of years? Because that is exactly the truth. Lettuce, known to the scientific world as Lactuca sativa, is a member of the daisy family Asteraceae. Yes, you heard that right. Lettuce is related to daisies, sunflowers, and dandelions. That beautiful flower you see swaying in the breeze in a garden shares a family tree with the leaf sitting in your burger. The connection might seem surprising at first, but when you look closely at the structure of a lettuce plant, particularly when it is allowed to bolt, to grow tall and flower, you see the resemblance. Small, delicate, yellow flowers bloom at the top, and they look remarkably similar to tiny dandelion blooms. Nature has a way of reminding us that things are more connected than we realize. The word lettuce itself carries a deep history. It derives from the Latin word lactuca, which comes from lac, meaning milk. This name was given because of the milky white sap that oozes from the stems and leaves of lettuce when they are cut or broken. This milky substance, known as latex, is a defining characteristic of the plant. In ancient times, this sap was considered highly significant. It was not merely a curiosity. It was believed to have medicinal properties, sedative effects, and even mystical qualities. We will explore all of that in great detail as our journey continues. But first, let us go back. Let us go all the way back to the very beginning. The story of lettuce begins not in a garden, not on a farm, and not in a kitchen. It begins in the wild, in the sun-baked landscapes of the ancient Mediterranean and the Middle East. Wild lettuce, Lactuca cereola, is considered the ancestor of all cultivated lettuce. This wild variety still grows today in many parts of the world. It is a tough, resilient plant with prickly leaves, a bitter taste, and a tall, spindly growth habit. If you were to encounter it growing on the side of a road or in an untended field, you would likely never guess that it is the forefather of the crisp, sweet lettuce you enjoy in your salads. Wild lettuce thrived in the regions around the eastern Mediterranean. It grew in what is now Turkey, Iran, and the lands stretching from the Caucasus Mountains down through the Levant. It was a weed, essentially. It grew where it pleased. It survived droughts. It tolerated poor soil. It was not cultivated. It was not tended. It simply existed as wild plants do, spreading its seeds on the wind and colonizing new patches of earth wherever it could. Earliest humans who encountered wild lettuce likely did not eat the leaves at all. The leaves were too bitter, too tough, too unpleasant, but they did notice the sap. That milky white liquid that oozed from the broken stems caught the attention of ancient peoples. They observed that animals that consumed the plant sometimes appeared drowsy or calm. They experimented with the sap themselves and discovered that it had a mild sedative quality. It could ease pain, it could promote sleep, it could calm an anxious mind. This discovery, the medicinal value of lettuce sap, is likely what first brought lettuce into the sphere of human interest. Before it was a food, it was a medicine. Before it graced a plate, it graced the shelves of ancient healers and herbalists. This is a pattern we see with many plants throughout history. Humans first value a plant for its medicinal or spiritual properties, and only later, sometimes much later, do they begin to cultivate it for food. Now let us travel to ancient Egypt, because it is here that the recorded history of lettuce truly begins. The ancient Egyptians are among the earliest civilizations known to have cultivated lettuce. Evidence of lettuce cultivation in Egypt dates back to at least 2680 BCE during the Old Kingdom period. That means lettuce has been deliberately grown and harvested for nearly 5,000 years. Think about that for a moment. 5,000 years. Empires have risen and fallen. Languages have been born and died. Entire civilizations have vanished from the face of the earth. And through it all, lettuce has endured. It has been planted, tended, harvested, and consumed by human beings for 5 millennia without interruption. But the lettuce of ancient Egypt looked nothing like the lettuce you know today. The Egyptian variety was a tall, upright plant with long, pointed leaves. It resembled what we now call romaine lettuce, though even romaine as we know it has been significantly refined compared to the ancient Egyptian variety. The Egyptian lettuce could grow quite tall, sometimes reaching several feet in height. Its leaves were darker, stiffer, and more bitter than modern varieties. The Egyptians did not grow lettuce primarily for salads, they grew it for its seeds. Lettuce seeds are rich in oil, and the Egyptians pressed these seeds to extract the oil, which they used for cooking, for lamp fuel, and for various other purposes. The oil was valuable, and lettuce cultivation was, in part, an agricultural industry centered on oil production. But the Egyptians also consumed the leaves. They learned to harvest the leaves when they were young and tender, before the plant bolted and the leaves became too bitter to eat. This practice of harvesting young leaves is one of the earliest examples of selective timing in agriculture, understanding that the stage at which a plant is harvested profoundly affects its taste and quality. There is another dimension to the Egyptian relationship with lettuce, and it is one of the most fascinating aspects of this plant's history. The ancient Egyptians associated lettuce with their god Min. Min was the god of fertility, reproduction, and harvest. He was often depicted in Egyptian art and sculpture, and in many of these depictions, lettuce plants are shown growing behind him or near him. Offerings of lettuce were made at his temples. Lettuce was considered sacred to Min. Why would a leafy green vegetable be associated with a fertility god? The answer lies in that milky sap we discussed earlier. The white, milky latex that flows from lettuce stems was seen by the Egyptians as a symbol of fertility. The connection was direct and unambiguous in the Egyptian mind. The sap represented life force, vitality, and reproductive power. Lettuce was not merely a food or a medicine in ancient Egypt. It was a sacred plant imbued with divine significance. This association between lettuce and fertility persisted in Egyptian culture for centuries. It appeared in religious texts, in temple artwork, and in funerary decorations. Lettuce seeds and images of lettuce have been found in Egyptian tombs, placed there as offerings to accompany the dead into the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that lettuce would sustain the spirit in the next world, just as it sustained the body in this one. Egyptian farmers developed sophisticated irrigation techniques to grow lettuce along the fertile banks of the Nile River. They understood that lettuce required consistent moisture and relatively cool temperatures to thrive. They planted it during the cooler months and used the river's natural flooding cycles to water their crops. This was one of the earliest examples of systematic lettuce farming, and the techniques developed by Egyptian farmers would influence agricultural practices in the region for centuries to come. The lettuce varieties cultivated in Egypt were eventually carried beyond the borders of that ancient civilization. Trade routes, conquests, and the movement of peoples spread lettuce cultivation to neighboring cultures. The plant traveled westward along the coast of North Africa, eastward into Mesopotamia, and northward into the lands around the Mediterranean Sea. Let us now turn our attention to ancient Greece, where lettuce took on new meanings and new roles. The Greeks were well acquainted with lettuce. They cultivated several varieties and consumed it regularly. Greek physicians and philosophers wrote extensively about lettuce, and their observations laid the groundwork for centuries of medical and botanical knowledge about the plant. Hippocrates, often called the father of medicine, who lived around 460 to 370 BCE, mentioned lettuce in his writings. He noted its calming properties and recommended it as a remedy for sleeplessness. The idea that lettuce could promote sleep was widespread in the ancient world, and the Greeks embraced this concept wholeheartedly. They served lettuce at the end of meals, believing that it would aid digestion and help the diner drift off to a peaceful sleep. Interestingly, this is the opposite of how many people consume lettuce today. In the modern world, salads are often served at the beginning of a meal as a starter or appetizer. But in ancient Greece, lettuce was a closing course, a final offering meant to soothe the body and prepare it for rest. This tradition persisted for a very long time and was eventually adopted by the Romans as well. The Greek physician Dioscorides, who lived in the 1st century CE, wrote about lettuce in his famous work De Materia Medica, one of the most influential pharmacological texts in history. Dioscorides described the medicinal properties of lettuce in great detail. He noted that the sap could be dried and used as a pain reliever. He recommended lettuce for headaches, for inflammation, and for calming the nerves. He also observed that excessive consumption of lettuce could dull the senses and reduce desire, which is a notable contrast to the Egyptian association of lettuce with fertility. This contradiction, lettuce as a promoter of fertility in Egypt and as a suppressant of desire in Greece, illustrates how different cultures can interpret the same plant in vastly different ways. The physical properties of the plant remain the same. It was the cultural lens through which those properties were viewed that changed. The Greeks also had a mythological connection to lettuce. According to one myth, the goddess Aphrodite laid the dying Adonis upon a bed of lettuce. Adonis, the beautiful mortal lover of Aphrodite, was fatally wounded by a wild boar. In some versions of the myth, it was upon lettuce leaves that he breathed his last. This association linked lettuce with death and mourning in the Greek mind, and it may have contributed to the belief that lettuce had sedative or numbing properties. The plant that cradled a dying god must surely have the power to bring sleep, or so the reasoning went. The Greeks cultivated lettuce in their gardens alongside other vegetables and herbs. They grew it in raised beds, in irrigated plots, and in small household gardens. Greek farmers understood the importance of soil quality and water management in lettuce cultivation. They knew that the plant preferred rich, well-drained soil and consistent moisture. They also practiced a form of selective breeding, choosing seeds from the best plants to sow in the following season, gradually improving the quality of their lettuce over generations. Greek lettuce was typically eaten raw, dressed with olive oil and vinegar, sometimes with the addition of herbs and salt. This simple preparation is remarkably similar to the basic salad dressing still used today. The combination of greens, oil, and acid is one of the most enduring culinary formulas in human history, and it originated, at least in part, with the ancient Greeks and their love of lettuce. From Greece, our journey takes us to Rome, and it is in Rome that the story of lettuce truly explodes into full, magnificent detail. The Romans were obsessed with lettuce. They cultivated it extensively, developed numerous varieties, and consumed it in quantities that would astonish a modern observer. Roman agricultural writers devoted pages upon pages to the cultivation and care of lettuce. Roman physicians prescribed it for a wide range of ailments. Roman poets and satirists mentioned it in their works. Lettuce was, without exaggeration, one of the most important vegetables in the Roman world. The Roman writer Pliny the Elder, who lived from 23 to 79 CE, wrote about lettuce at great length in his encyclopedic work, Naturalis Historia. Pliny described several distinct varieties of lettuce, noting differences in color, texture, size, and taste. He mentioned varieties with dark leaves and varieties with light leaves. He described some that formed heads and others that grew upright. He discussed the best methods for planting, watering, and harvesting lettuce. His descriptions are detailed enough that botanists have been able to identify some of the varieties he mentioned and trace their lineage to modern cultivars. Pliny also discussed the medicinal properties of lettuce. He noted that it was commonly used to promote sleep, to calm the stomach, to reduce fever, and to ease coughs. He reported that the Emperor Augustus credited lettuce with saving his life during a serious illness, claiming that eating lettuce had cured him when other remedies had failed. Whether or not this story is literally true, it speaks to the high regard in which lettuce was held in Roman society. The Roman agricultural writer Columella, who lived in the 1st century CE, provided detailed instructions for growing lettuce in his work De Re Rustica. Columella described how to prepare the soil, when to sow the seeds, how to transplant seedlings, and when to harvest the mature plants. He recommended soaking lettuce seeds in water before planting to speed germination. He advised planting lettuce in beds that received partial shade during the hottest part of the day. He described methods for extending the growing season so that fresh lettuce could be available for as much of the year as possible. Columella's writings reveal that the Romans practiced a level of agricultural sophistication that was remarkable for the ancient world. They understood crop rotation, soil amendment, and pest management. They knew that lettuce planted in overly rich soil could become too lush and soft, while lettuce planted in poor soil would be stunted and bitter. They sought a balance, and they achieved it through careful observation and experimentation over many generations. The Romans also developed the practice of blanching lettuce, not blanching in the modern cooking sense, but blanching in the horticultural sense. They would tie the outer leaves of a lettuce head together, preventing sunlight from reaching the inner leaves. This caused the inner leaves to remain pale, tender, and mild in flavor. The technique is still used today with some varieties of endive and chicory, and it traces its origins directly to Roman lettuce farming. Roman meals often began with a course of raw vegetables, including lettuce. This course was called the gustatio or promulsus, and it served as an appetizer to stimulate the appetite. Lettuce dressed with oil, vinegar, and garum, the fermented fish sauce that was ubiquitous in Roman cuisine, was a common component of this course. The Romans believed that eating raw vegetables at the beginning of a meal prepared the stomach for the heavier courses to follow. However, the Roman relationship with lettuce was not limited to the beginning of the meal. As in Greece, lettuce was also served at the end of the meal to promote sleep. Over time, the custom shifted, and by the later centuries of the Roman Empire, lettuce was more commonly served as a starter. This shift in custom is one of the small but significant changes that shaped how lettuce is consumed in many cultures to this day. The Romans carried lettuce with them as their empire expanded. As Roman legions marched across Europe, North Africa, and the Near East, they brought their agricultural practices with them. Lettuce seeds traveled in the packs of soldiers and settlers. Lettuce gardens were established at Roman forts, villas, and colonial settlements. By the height of the Roman Empire, lettuce was being grown in regions where it had never been cultivated before, in Gaul, in Britannia, in Iberia, in the Rhine Valley, and beyond. This spread of lettuce cultivation during the Roman period was one of the most significant events in the plant's history. Established lettuce as a staple crop across a vast geographic area, and the varieties and farming techniques that the Romans introduced to these regions formed the foundation for lettuce cultivation in Europe for the next 2,000 years. When the Roman Empire eventually declined and fragmented, the agricultural knowledge that the Romans had accumulated did not disappear entirely. Much of it was preserved in monasteries, where monks continued to grow lettuce and other vegetables in their gardens. Monastic gardens became repositories of botanical knowledge during the early medieval period. Monks copied and studied the agricultural texts of Pliny, Columella, and other Roman writers. They maintained heirloom varieties of lettuce that might otherwise have been lost. They experimented with new techniques and developed new varieties of their own. The medieval period was a time of relative quiet in the history of lettuce. The plant continued to be grown and consumed, but there were fewer dramatic developments than in the ancient period. Lettuce was a common garden vegetable throughout medieval Europe. It appeared in herbals, those illustrated books that cataloged plants and their uses. Medieval herbals typically described lettuce as a cooling food, suitable for calming the blood and promoting sleep. They recommended it for people with hot tempers or inflamed constitutions. Medieval cooks prepared lettuce in a variety of ways. It was eaten raw in salads, which were becoming increasingly popular in Europe during this period. It was also cooked, braised, stewed, or added to soups. Cooked lettuce may sound unusual to the modern palate, but it was quite common in medieval cuisine. Cooking lettuce softened its texture, mellowed its flavor, and made it easier to digest, or so medieval cooks believed. The word salad itself has its roots in this period. It comes from the Latin word sal, meaning salt. A salad was originally any dish of raw vegetables seasoned with salt, or with a dressing containing salt. Over time, the word came to refer specifically to dishes featuring leafy greens, and lettuce became the prototypical salad green. During the Renaissance, interest in agriculture, botany, and natural science experienced a dramatic revival across Europe. Scholars rediscovered and translated the agricultural texts of the ancient world. New botanical gardens were established. Explorers brought back plants from distant lands. And lettuce, that ancient and familiar vegetable, received renewed attention from scientists and farmers alike. Renaissance herbalists and botanists cataloged numerous varieties of lettuce, many more than the ancient writers had described. By the 16th century, European gardens featured a remarkable diversity of lettuce types. There were varieties with curly leaves and varieties with smooth leaves. There were red varieties, green varieties, and varieties with speckled or spotted leaves. There were large, heading varieties and small, loose-leaf varieties. The diversity was extraordinary, and it was the result of centuries of selective breeding by farmers and gardeners across Europe. The Renaissance also saw advances in the understanding of lettuce's botanical nature. Scientists began to classify plants more systematically, and lettuce was studied and categorized alongside its relatives in the daisy family. The Swedish botanist Carl Linnaeus, working in the 18th century, formally classified lettuce as Lactuca sativa, giving it the binomial name that is still used today. Linnaeus's classification system brought order to the chaotic world of plant naming and helped establish a universal language for discussing plants across cultures and languages. Now let us pause for a moment and talk about the different types of lettuce that exist in the world today. Understanding these types is essential to appreciating the full richness and complexity of this remarkable plant. The most common classification system divides cultivated lettuce into several major groups. These groups are based on the growth habit and leaf characteristics of the plant. First, there is Crisphead lettuce. This is the type that forms a tight, round head of crisp, pale green leaves. It is the most widely recognized type in many parts of the world. The most famous variety of Crisphead lettuce is Iceberg. Iceberg lettuce gets its name from the practice of shipping it packed in ice during the early 20th century. The heads of ice-packed lettuce looked like icebergs as they arrived at markets and distribution centers, and the name stuck. Iceberg lettuce is known for its crunchy texture, its high water content, and its mild, almost neutral flavor. It is the lettuce of fast food, of diners, of wedge salads, and of simple, everyday meals. Some food enthusiasts dismiss iceberg lettuce as bland and nutritionally inferior, but it has its champions, and its satisfying crunch and refreshing quality have made it a favorite for generations. Next, there is Butterhead lettuce. As its name suggests, this type has a soft, buttery texture. The leaves are tender and smooth, with a delicate, slightly sweet flavor. Butterhead lettuce forms loose, rounded heads that are less compact than Crisphead varieties. The most well-known Butterhead varieties include Boston lettuce and Bibb lettuce. Bibb lettuce, named after the Kentucky farmer John Bibb who developed it in the 19th century, is particularly prized for its fine texture and excellent flavor. Butterhead lettuce is popular in fine dining and in gourmet salads where its elegance and subtlety are appreciated. Then there is Romaine lettuce, also known as Kos lettuce. The name Kos comes from the Greek island of Kos, where this type of lettuce was believed to have originated or been particularly well cultivated. Romaine lettuce has long, upright, sturdy leaves with a prominent central rib. The outer leaves are dark green and somewhat tough, while the inner leaves, known as the heart, are pale green or yellow and tender. Romaine lettuce has a robust flavor, slightly bitter and earthy, and a satisfying crunch. It is the lettuce of Caesar salads, and its sturdy leaves hold up well to heavy dressings and bold flavors. Loose leaf lettuce is another major group. Unlike Crisphead, Butterhead, and Romaine varieties, loose leaf lettuce does not form a defined head. Instead, the leaves grow in a loose rosette, spreading outward from a central point. Loose leaf varieties come in an astonishing range of colors and shapes. There are green oak leaf varieties, red oak leaf varieties, frilly varieties, and smooth varieties. Some have deeply lobed leaves, while others have simple, rounded leaves. Loose leaf lettuce is the most diverse group in terms of appearance, and it is a favorite of home gardeners because it can be harvested leaf by leaf, allowing the plant to continue producing new growth over an extended period. This method of harvesting is known as cut and come again, and it is one of the great joys of growing lettuce at home. There is also stem lettuce, sometimes called celtus or asparagus lettuce. This unusual variety is grown primarily for its thick, fleshy stem rather than its leaves. The stem is peeled, sliced, and eaten either raw or cooked. Stem lettuce is especially popular in Chinese cuisine, where it has been cultivated for centuries. Its flavor is mild and slightly nutty, and its texture is crisp and succulent. Stem lettuce is less well known in many Western countries, but it is a fascinating and delicious variety that deserves greater recognition. Finally, there is oilseed lettuce. This type is grown not for its leaves or stems, but for its seeds, which are pressed to extract oil. Oilseed lettuce is one of the oldest types of cultivated lettuce, and it connects the modern plant directly to its ancient Egyptian ancestors, who grew lettuce specifically for its seed oil. Oilseed lettuce varieties are rarely seen in markets or gardens today, but they remain an important part of the lettuce family's history. Each of these types represents centuries of selective breeding and agricultural refinement. From the tall, bitter, oily-seeded lettuce of ancient Egypt to the crisp, sweet-heading varieties of the modern world, the transformation of lettuce through human intervention is a testament to the power of patient, incremental change. Now let us talk about what is actually inside a lettuce leaf. What makes lettuce, nutritionally speaking, what it is? Lettuce is composed primarily of water. Depending on the variety, lettuce can be anywhere from 90 to 96% water by weight. This extraordinarily high water content is one of the defining characteristics of the plant, and it contributes to its crisp, refreshing quality. It also means that lettuce is extremely low in calories, making it a popular choice for those seeking to manage their caloric intake. But lettuce is far more than just water. Within that remaining small percentage of solid matter lies a surprising array of nutrients. Lettuce contains vitamin A, primarily in the form of beta-carotene. Beta-carotene is a pigment that gives many fruits and vegetables their orange, yellow, or dark green color. In the body, beta-carotene is converted into vitamin A, which is essential for healthy vision, immune function, and cell growth. The amount of beta-carotene in lettuce varies dramatically depending on the variety. Darker-leaved varieties, such as romaine and red-leaf lettuce, contain significantly more beta-carotene than pale varieties like iceberg. This is a general rule in the world of leafy greens. The darker the leaf, the more nutrient-dense it tends to be. Lettuce also contains vitamin K, which plays a critical role in blood clotting and bone health. A single serving of romaine lettuce can provide a substantial portion of the daily recommended intake of vitamin K. This makes lettuce a valuable dietary source of this essential nutrient, particularly for individuals who may not get enough from other foods. Vitamin C is present in lettuce as well, though in smaller quantities than in some other vegetables and fruits. Vitamin C is an antioxidant that supports immune function, skin health, and the absorption of iron from plant-based foods. While lettuce alone may not provide enough vitamin C to meet daily needs, it contributes to overall intake as part of a varied diet. Folate, also known as vitamin B9, is another nutrient found in lettuce. Folate is essential for DNA synthesis and cell division, and it is particularly important during pregnancy, when adequate folate intake helps prevent neural tube defects in the developing fetus. Leafy greens like lettuce are among the best dietary sources of folate. Lettuce contains small amounts of several minerals, including potassium, calcium, magnesium, and iron. While the quantities of these minerals in lettuce are modest compared to some other foods, they still contribute to overall mineral intake. Potassium, for example, is important for maintaining healthy blood pressure and proper muscle and nerve function. Calcium is essential for strong bones and teeth. Magnesium plays a role in hundreds of enzymatic reactions in the body. Iron is necessary for the production of hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen throughout the body. Lettuce is a source of dietary fiber, though the amount is relatively small given the plant's high water content. Fiber is important for digestive health. It promotes regular bowel movements, feeds beneficial gut bacteria, and can help regulate blood sugar levels. While lettuce is not the most fiber-rich food available, it does make a contribution, particularly when consumed in larger quantities as part of a salad. One of the most intriguing nutritional aspects of lettuce is its content of phytonutrients, biologically active compounds that are not classified as essential nutrients, but that may have significant health benefits. Lettuce contains several types of phytonutrients, including carotenoids, flavonoids, and phenolic acids. These compounds have antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, and research suggests that they may play a role in reducing the risk of chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, and certain types of cancer. The carotenoids in lettuce include beta-carotene, which we have already discussed, as well as lutein and zeaxanthin. Lutein and zeaxanthin are particularly important for eye health. They accumulate in the macula of the eye, where they help filter harmful blue light and protect against age-related macular degeneration, a leading cause of vision loss in older adults. Regular consumption of foods rich in lutein and zeaxanthin, including lettuce, may help preserve eye health over the long term. The flavonoids in lettuce include quercetin and kaempferol, both of which have been studied for their antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. Quercetin in particular has been the subject of extensive research. Studies suggest that it may help reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, and protect against certain types of cancer. While much of this research has been conducted in laboratory settings or in animal models, and more studies in humans are needed, the findings are promising and add to the growing body of evidence that a diet rich in plant-based foods offers significant health benefits. Lettuce also contains small amounts of omega-3 fatty acids. This may seem surprising, as we typically associate omega-3s with fatty fish, flax seeds, and walnuts. But lettuce does contain alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid, in small quantities. While the amount is not sufficient to meet daily omega-3 needs on its own, it is yet another example of the nutritional complexity hidden within this seemingly simple leaf. The Lactucarium, the milky sap that gives lettuce its Latin name, deserves special attention. Lactucarium has been used in traditional medicine for centuries, and modern research has begun to shed light on its chemical composition and potential effects. Lactucarium contains several compounds, including lactucin, lactucopacrin, and lactusic acid. These compounds have been shown to have mild sedative and analgesic properties in some studies. They may work by affecting the central nervous system, promoting relaxation and reducing the perception of pain. In the 19th century, Lactucarium was sometimes referred to as lettuce opium because of its sedative effects. It was collected from wild lettuce plants, dried and sold as a medicinal preparation. It was used to treat insomnia, anxiety, coughs, and pain. While its effects are much milder than those of true opium, the nickname speaks to the reputation that lettuce sap had earned over the centuries. It is important to note that the Lactucarium content of modern cultivated lettuce is much lower than that of wild lettuce. Through centuries of selective breeding, farmers have chosen lettuce varieties with less bitterness and less sap, resulting in the mild, sweet lettuce that we enjoy today. If you eat a salad before bed, it is unlikely to have a noticeable sedative effect, despite the ancient beliefs about lettuce and sleep. However, the compounds responsible for those effects are still present in trace amounts, a whisper of the plant's wild ancestry. Let us now explore some of the specific health benefits that have been attributed to lettuce consumption. Hydration is one of the most immediate and tangible benefits of eating lettuce. Because lettuce is composed of so much water, consuming it contributes directly to fluid intake. Adequate hydration is essential for virtually every function in the body, from regulating temperature to transporting nutrients to maintaining cognitive function. In hot weather or during physical activity, when fluid needs are elevated, water-rich foods like lettuce can help supplement fluid intake from beverages. Weight management is another area where lettuce has been recognized for its benefits. Its extremely low caloric density, meaning it provides very few calories relative to its volume, makes it an ideal food for those seeking to reduce their caloric intake without feeling deprived. A large bowl of lettuce has remarkably few calories, yet it can create a sense of fullness and satisfaction. This satiating effect is partly due to the fiber content and partly due to the simple act of chewing and consuming a large volume of food. Studies have shown that starting a meal with a salad can reduce overall caloric intake for the meal, as the volume of the salad takes up space in the stomach and signals to the brain that eating has occurred. Heart health is an area of growing interest in relation to lettuce consumption. The folate in lettuce helps regulate homocysteine levels in the blood. Elevated homocysteine levels have been associated with an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. By providing folate, lettuce may help keep homocysteine levels in check. Additionally, the potassium in lettuce supports healthy blood pressure, and the antioxidants in lettuce help protect blood vessels from oxidative damage. Bone health benefits from the vitamin K content of lettuce. Vitamin K is essential for the production of osteocalcin, a protein involved in bone formation and maintenance. Adequate vitamin K intake has been associated with a reduced risk of fractures, particularly in older adults. Given that lettuce is one of the most commonly consumed sources of vitamin K, its regular inclusion in the diet may contribute meaningfully to bone health. Digestive health is supported by the fiber and water content of lettuce. The combination of fiber and water promotes regular bowel movements and helps prevent constipation. The fiber in lettuce also serves as a prebiotic, providing nourishment for the beneficial bacteria that inhabit the gut. A healthy gut microbiome has been linked to a wide range of health benefits, including improved immune function, better mental health, and reduced risk of chronic disease. Sleep and relaxation, as we have discussed, have been associated with lettuce since ancient times. While the sedative effects of modern cultivated lettuce are much milder than those attributed to wild lettuce, some research suggests that lettuce extracts may still have a calming effect. A study published in a food science journal found that lettuce seed extract increased sleep duration in laboratory animals. While such findings cannot be directly extrapolated to humans, they suggest that the ancient belief in lettuce as a sleep aid may not be entirely without basis. Skin health may also benefit from lettuce consumption. The vitamin A derived from beta-carotene supports skin cell turnover and repair. Vitamin C contributes to collagen production, which is essential for maintaining skin elasticity and firmness. The antioxidants in lettuce help protect skin cells from damage caused by ultraviolet radiation and environmental pollutants. While eating lettuce alone will not transform your skin, regular consumption of nutrient-rich leafy greens as part of a balanced diet can support overall skin health. Immune function is supported by several of the nutrients found in lettuce. Vitamin A helps maintain the integrity of mucous membranes, which serve as the body's first line of defense against pathogens. Vitamin C supports the production and function of white blood cells. The antioxidants in lettuce help reduce oxidative stress, which can impair immune function if left unchecked. Now, it would be dishonest to present only the benefits of lettuce without also discussing its potential drawbacks and risks. Like any food, lettuce has its downsides, and an informed consumer should be aware of them. One of the most significant concerns associated with lettuce is the risk of foodborne illness. Lettuce, particularly when consumed raw, has been linked to outbreaks of foodborne disease caused by bacteria such as E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria. These bacteria can contaminate lettuce at various points in the production chain, in the field, during processing, during transportation, or during preparation. The large surface area of lettuce leaves, with their many folds and crevices, can harbor bacteria that are difficult to remove through washing alone. Outbreaks of E. coli infection linked to romaine lettuce have been particularly prominent in recent years, drawing significant public attention to the issue. These outbreaks have sickened hundreds of people and in some cases caused deaths. The source of contamination is often traced back to irrigation water contaminated with animal waste or to proximity between lettuce fields and livestock operations. The issue has prompted calls for improved food safety standards, better traceability in the lettuce supply chain, and more rigorous testing of water and soil. It is important to note that washing lettuce reduces but does not eliminate the risk of bacterial contamination. Bacteria can adhere tightly to the surface of leaves or even penetrate the leaf tissue through small openings. While thorough washing is always recommended, it is not a guarantee of safety. Cooking lettuce would kill bacteria, but of course, most lettuce is consumed raw, which is part of its appeal. Another concern is the potential for lettuce to contain pesticide residues. Lettuce is a crop that can be susceptible to various pests and diseases, and conventional farming often relies on pesticides to protect the crop. While regulatory agencies set limits on permissible pesticide residues in food, some consumers are concerned about the cumulative effects of low-level pesticide exposure over time. Organic lettuce, grown without synthetic pesticides, is available as an alternative, though it tends to be more expensive. Lettuce can also cause digestive discomfort in some individuals. For people with sensitive digestive systems, or for those with conditions such as irritable bowel syndrome, consuming large quantities of raw lettuce can cause bloating, gas, or stomach pain. The fiber in lettuce, while beneficial in moderate amounts, can be difficult for some people to digest, particularly if they are not accustomed to eating large amounts of raw vegetables. There is a rare but documented condition known as lettuce allergy. Some individuals are allergic to proteins found in lettuce, particularly a protein called a lipid transfer protein. Symptoms of lettuce allergy can range from mild, such as itching or swelling of the mouth and throat, to severe, including anaphylaxis. Lettuce allergy is more common in individuals who are also allergic to other members of the Asteraceae family, such as ragweed, mugwort, or chrysanthemums. If you suspect you may be allergic to lettuce, it is important to consult with an allergist. Lettuce can interact with certain medications, particularly blood-thinning medications such as warfarin. Because lettuce is a significant source of vitamin K, which plays a key role in blood clotting, consuming large or variable amounts of lettuce can affect the efficacy of these medications. Individuals taking blood thinners are typically advised to maintain a consistent intake of vitamin K-rich foods rather than dramatically increasing or decreasing their consumption. There is also the environmental impact of lettuce production to consider. Lettuce cultivation requires substantial amounts of water, and in regions where water is scarce, large-scale lettuce farming can strain water resources. The transportation of lettuce from farm to market often involves refrigerated trucks and significant distances, contributing to carbon emissions. The packaging of lettuce, particularly pre-washed and bagged salad mixes, generates plastic waste. These environmental concerns have led some consumers and farmers to seek more sustainable approaches to lettuce production, including local farming, water-efficient irrigation systems, and reduced packaging. Now let us return to our historical journey and pick up where we left off. We have traveled through ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome. We have passed through the medieval period and the Renaissance. Now let us enter the modern era and trace the evolution of lettuce from the 18th century to the present day. The 18th and 19th centuries were periods of significant development in lettuce cultivation. During this time, farmers and seed companies in Europe developed hundreds of new varieties, each tailored to specific climates, tastes, and market demands. The diversity of lettuce varieties available in 19th century seed catalogs was extraordinary. Catalogs from this period list dozens of varieties with evocative names: white Paris Cos, brown Dutch, tennis ball, salamander, Hansen, and many more. Each name tells a story of origin, of the farmer who developed it, or of the characteristics that set it apart. The development of the Iceberg lettuce variety in the late 19th century was a landmark event. Iceberg lettuce was bred for its tight, compact head and its ability to withstand the rigors of long-distance shipping. Before modern refrigeration, transporting fresh produce over long distances was extremely difficult. Leafy greens wilted quickly and spoiled easily. Iceberg lettuce, with its dense head and sturdy outer leaves, proved to be more durable than other varieties. When packed in ice, it could survive cross-country rail journeys and arrive at distant markets in acceptable condition. The rise of iceberg lettuce coincided with the expansion of rail networks and the development of refrigerated rail cars. These technological advances made it possible to grow lettuce in regions with favorable climates and ship it to consumers far away. Lettuce farming became concentrated in regions with ideal growing conditions, long growing seasons, mild temperatures, abundant sunshine, and access to water. In the 20th century, lettuce production underwent a dramatic transformation. Advances in agricultural science, mechanization, and supply chain logistics turned lettuce from a garden vegetable into an industrial crop. Large-scale lettuce farms emerged, spanning hundreds or even thousands of acres. Mechanical harvesters, vacuum coolers, and automated packaging systems increased efficiency and reduced costs. The result was that lettuce became cheaper, more widely available, and more consistently available throughout the year than ever before. The mid-20th century saw iceberg lettuce dominate the market. For decades, it was the default lettuce in restaurants, grocery stores, and home kitchens. Its mild flavor and crunchy texture made it universally acceptable, if not universally beloved. But starting in the 1980s and accelerating in the 1990s and 2000s, consumer tastes began to shift. Health-conscious consumers learned that darker-leaved varieties like romaine and red-leaf lettuce were more nutritious than pale iceberg. Chefs and food writers championed a wider variety of greens, introducing consumers to arugula, mesclun mixes, butter lettuce, and exotic varieties from around the world. The salad aisle in grocery stores expanded dramatically, offering an ever-growing array of lettuce types, salad mixes, and prepared salads. This shift in consumer preferences had a profound impact on lettuce farming. Growers diversified their crops, planting more romaine, more butterhead, more loose-leaf varieties, and fewer acres of iceberg. The market for organic lettuce grew rapidly, driven by consumer demand for pesticide-free produce. Hydroponic and greenhouse lettuce production expanded, offering year-round availability and reduced exposure to weather-related risks. Hydroponic lettuce cultivation deserves special attention, as it represents one of the most significant innovations in the history of lettuce farming. In hydroponic systems, lettuce is grown without soil, using nutrient-rich water solutions to deliver essential minerals directly to the roots. The plants are typically grown in controlled environment facilities, greenhouses, or indoor farms, where temperature, humidity, light, and nutrient levels are precisely managed. Hydroponic lettuce offers several advantages over traditional soil-based cultivation. It uses significantly less water because the water is recirculated rather than absorbed into the ground or lost to evaporation. It eliminates the need for soil, which means it can be practiced in urban areas, on rooftops, in abandoned warehouses, or in any space where a controlled environment can be created. It reduces the risk of soil-borne diseases and pests, often eliminating the need for pesticides, and it allows for year-round production, regardless of outdoor weather conditions. Indoor vertical farms, where lettuce is grown on stacked shelves under artificial LED lighting, have emerged as a cutting-edge approach to lettuce production. These farms can produce large quantities of lettuce in a small physical footprint, using a fraction of the water and land required by traditional farming. The lettuce produced in vertical farms is often exceptionally clean and fresh, with minimal handling between harvest and sale. However, hydroponic and vertical farming systems are not without their challenges. They require significant initial investment in infrastructure and technology. They consume substantial amounts of electricity, particularly for lighting and climate control. The cost of production can be higher than that of traditional farming, resulting in higher prices for consumers. And some critics argue that the environmental benefits of reduced water and land use are offset by the carbon footprint of the energy required to power these systems. Despite these challenges, the trend toward controlled environment lettuce production is growing. As technology improves and energy costs decline, these systems are becoming more economically viable. They offer a compelling vision of the future of agriculture, one in which fresh, nutritious lettuce can be grown anywhere in the world at any time of year in a sustainable and environmentally responsible manner. Let us talk about the global scope of lettuce production. Lettuce is grown on every inhabited continent. The largest producer of lettuce in the world is China, which produces more lettuce than all other countries combined. China's dominance in lettuce production is driven by the country's massive population, its strong tradition of vegetable consumption, and the popularity of stem lettuce in Chinese cuisine. India, Spain, Italy, Japan, and many other countries are also significant producers. In Europe, Spain and Italy are the leading producers of lettuce. The warm, sunny climates of southern Spain and the Mediterranean coast of Italy are ideally suited to lettuce cultivation. These regions produce lettuce year-round, supplying markets across Europe with fresh greens. The Netherlands, despite its small size and northern climate, is also a significant producer, thanks to its advanced greenhouse industry. The global lettuce market is worth billions of dollars annually. Lettuce is one of the most valuable vegetable crops in the world, and its economic importance extends far beyond the farm. The lettuce supply chain includes seed companies, farm equipment manufacturers, irrigation suppliers, packaging companies, transportation firms, and retailers. Thousands of workers are employed in lettuce production, from field laborers who plant and harvest the crop to scientists who develop new varieties and study pest management. The seasonality of lettuce production varies by region. In temperate climates, lettuce is typically a cool season crop, grown in spring and fall. It does not tolerate extreme heat, which causes the plant to bolt, to send up a flower stalk and produce seeds, resulting in bitter, unpalatable leaves. In tropical and subtropical climates, lettuce can be grown during the cooler months or at higher elevations where temperatures are more moderate. The phenomenon of bolting is one of the most important aspects of lettuce biology from a farmer's perspective. When a lettuce plant bolts, it redirects its energy from leaf production to flower and seed production. The leaves become tough and intensely bitter, and the plant loses its value as a food crop. Bolting is triggered by high temperatures, long days, and stress. Farmers go to great lengths to prevent bolting, including planting heat-tolerant varieties, providing shade, ensuring consistent irrigation, and timing their planting to avoid the hottest months. Seed companies have invested heavily in developing bolt-resistant lettuce varieties. Through selective breeding and more recently, through the use of molecular genetics, researchers have identified genes associated with bolting resistance and have used this knowledge to create varieties that can tolerate higher temperatures and longer days without bolting. These varieties have extended the growing season for lettuce in many regions and have made it possible to grow lettuce in climates that were previously too warm. Let us now delve into some of the more unusual and surprising aspects of lettuce. Lettuce has been used in traditional medicine systems around the world for a remarkable range of ailments. In traditional Chinese medicine, lettuce is considered a cooling food, suitable for counteracting excess heat in the body. It is recommended for conditions associated with heat, such as inflammation, fever, and irritability. In Ayurvedic medicine, the ancient healing tradition of India, lettuce is valued for its calming properties and is recommended for individuals with a pitta constitution, those who tend to be hot, intense, and driven. In European folk medicine, lettuce was used as a remedy for insomnia, coughs, and rheumatic pain. Poultices made from lettuce leaves were applied to the skin to soothe burns, insect bites, and skin irritations. Lettuce tea made by steeping lettuce leaves in hot water was consumed as a bedtime drink to promote restful sleep. While these folk remedies have not been rigorously tested in clinical trials, they reflect a long and consistent tradition of using lettuce for its perceived therapeutic properties. Wild lettuce, Lactuca virosa, has a much stronger history of medicinal use than cultivated lettuce. Wild lettuce contains higher concentrations of Lactucarium and has more potent sedative and analgesic effects. In the 18th and 19th centuries, wild lettuce was widely used in European and colonial medicine as a substitute for opium. It was less potent than opium, but it was also less addictive and had fewer side effects. Physicians prescribed it for pain relief, for calming coughs, and for treating anxiety and insomnia. Wild lettuce preparations were available in pharmacies and were listed in official pharmacopoeias. The decline of wild lettuce as a medicinal substance came with the development of more potent and reliable pharmaceutical drugs in the late 19th and 20th centuries. As aspirin, barbiturates, and other modern medications became available, the use of wild lettuce faded. Today, wild lettuce is primarily of interest to herbalists and practitioners of alternative medicine, though some research continues to explore its pharmacological properties. Lettuce has also played a role in the world of art and literature. Still life paintings from the Dutch Golden Age, that remarkable period of artistic achievement in the 17th century, frequently include lettuce among their depictions of fruits, vegetables, and other foods. These paintings celebrated the abundance and variety of the natural world, and lettuce, with its pleasing colors and textures, was a natural subject. In literature, lettuce appears in various contexts. The Beatrix Potter tale, The Tale of the Flopsy Bunnies, features a memorable scene in which Peter Rabbit's nieces and nephews eat so much lettuce from Mr. McGregor's garden that they fall asleep. This scene draws directly on the ancient belief in lettuce's sedative properties, demonstrating how deeply this idea is embedded in cultural consciousness. Potter was an avid naturalist and gardener, and her inclusion of this detail reflects her knowledge of both botanical lore and folk tradition. Lettuce has even played a role in space exploration. In 2015, astronauts aboard the International Space Station grew and consumed red romaine lettuce as part of an experiment called Veggie. This was a landmark event, the first time that food grown in space was eaten by astronauts on a space station. The experiment demonstrated that it was possible to cultivate fresh food in the microgravity environment of space, a capability that would be essential for long-duration missions to Mars or beyond. The lettuce grown in space was tested for microbial contamination and found to be safe to eat. The astronauts described the flavor as fresh and slightly bitter, not unlike lettuce grown on Earth. The Veggie experiment and subsequent space gardening efforts have highlighted the psychological as well as nutritional benefits of growing fresh food in space. Astronauts on long missions can experience isolation, monotony, and a disconnection from the natural world. The act of tending plants, watching them grow, and eating fresh produce can provide a sense of normalcy and connection to Earth. Lettuce, with its relatively short growth cycle and modest space requirements, is an ideal candidate for space gardening. Let us return to the subject of lettuce varieties and explore some of the more unusual and lesser-known types. Red lettuce varieties owe their color to the presence of anthocyanins, a class of pigments that produce red, purple, and blue hues in plant tissues. Anthocyanins are powerful antioxidants, and their presence in red lettuce gives these varieties a nutritional edge over their green counterparts. Red leaf lettuce, red romaine, and red butterhead varieties all contain significant amounts of anthocyanins. The color is typically most intense in the outer leaves and fades toward the center of the plant, where less light penetrates. Batavian lettuce is a type that is popular in France and other parts of Europe, but less well known elsewhere. Batavian lettuce has thick, crunchy leaves with wavy edges. It is intermediate between crisphead and loose-leaf types, forming a loose head with a satisfying texture. Batavian lettuce is prized for its versatility. It can be eaten raw in salads or cooked in stir-fries and braises. Little gem lettuce is a compact variety that resembles a miniature romaine. It is incredibly popular in British and European cuisine and has gained a following worldwide. Little gem heads are typically just a few inches tall, with tightly packed, sweet, crunchy leaves. They are often served halved or quartered as a base for composed salads. Their small size makes them convenient and appealing, and their flavor is considered superior to that of full-sized romaine. Mâche, also known as corn salad or lamb's lettuce, is not technically a lettuce at all. It belongs to a different botanical family, but it is often grouped with lettuce in culinary contexts. Mâche has small, spoon-shaped leaves with a delicate, slightly nutty flavor. It grows in cool weather and is particularly popular in French cuisine. Its soft texture and subtle taste make it a beautiful addition to salads, and it is often considered a gourmet green. Similarly, arugula, watercress, endive, radicchio, and frisee are often grouped with lettuce in the broader category of salad greens, though they belong to different plant families or genera. The world of salad greens is vast and diverse, and lettuce, while the most prominent member, is just one player in a rich ensemble. Now let us discuss the art and science of growing lettuce, whether on a commercial farm or in a home garden. Lettuce is one of the easiest vegetables to grow, making it an excellent choice for beginning gardeners. It germinates quickly, grows rapidly, and can be harvested in as little as 30 days for baby leaf varieties or 60 to 90 days for full-sized heads. It prefers cool weather with ideal growing temperatures between 60 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit. It can tolerate light frost, making it suitable for early spring and late fall planting in temperate climates. To grow lettuce, start with well-prepared soil that is rich in organic matter and has good drainage. Lettuce seeds are tiny. A single gram can contain 700 to 1,000 seeds, and they should be sown shallowly, just barely covered with soil. They need light to germinate, so it is important not to bury them too deeply. Keep the soil consistently moist but not waterlogged. Seeds typically germinate within 7 to 14 days, depending on soil temperature. Thin seedlings to allow adequate spacing. Overcrowded lettuce plants compete for light, water, and nutrients, resulting in smaller, weaker plants. Spacing requirements vary by variety. Loose leaf types can be grown as close as 4 inches apart, while heading varieties need 12 to 18 inches between plants. Lettuce is a relatively shallow-rooted plant, which means it needs consistent moisture but does not require deep watering. A layer of organic mulch around the plants helps retain soil moisture, suppress weeds, and keep the roots cool. Overhead watering should be avoided if possible, as wet leaves are more susceptible to fungal diseases. Drip irrigation or soaker hoses are ideal for lettuce. Fertilization should be moderate. Lettuce benefits from a balanced fertilizer applied at planting time and again midway through the growing season. Too much nitrogen can produce lush, dark green leaves that are more attractive to aphids and other pests. Too little nitrogen results in pale, stunted growth. Pest management in lettuce cultivation can be challenging. Aphids are among the most common pests, clustering on the undersides of leaves and sucking sap from the plant. Slugs and snails are particularly troublesome in cool, moist conditions. They can devour entire plants overnight. Caterpillars, flea beetles, and whiteflies can also damage lettuce. Organic pest control methods such as hand-picking, barriers, companion planting, and the use of beneficial insects like ladybugs and lacewings can be effective in managing these pests. Diseases that affect lettuce include downy mildew, powdery mildew, botrytis gray mold, lettuce drop caused by the fungus sclerotinia, and various bacterial and viral diseases. Good air circulation, proper spacing, crop rotation, and the use of disease-resistant varieties can help prevent these problems. Harvesting lettuce at the right time is crucial for quality. For loose-leaf varieties, individual outer leaves can be harvested as needed, allowing the inner leaves to continue growing. For heading varieties, the entire head is harvested when it is firm and fully formed. Lettuce should be harvested in the morning when the leaves are at their most turgid and crisp. After harvest, lettuce should be cooled quickly to preserve freshness. Commercial growers use vacuum cooling, a process in which lettuce is placed in a sealed chamber and the air pressure is reduced, causing moisture on the leaves to evaporate rapidly and cool the lettuce to near freezing temperatures within minutes. Storing lettuce properly is important for maintaining its quality. Lettuce should be kept cold, ideally at temperatures just above freezing. It should be stored in a sealed container or plastic bag to retain moisture, as lettuce loses water rapidly in the dry air of a refrigerator. A damp paper towel placed in the container can help maintain humidity. Properly stored, most lettuce varieties will keep for 5 to 10 days in the refrigerator, though some varieties, like Iceberg, can last longer due to their more durable structure. One common problem with stored lettuce is browning at the cut edges. This browning, known as enzymatic oxidation, occurs when cells at the cut surface are damaged and their contents react with oxygen in the air. The enzyme polyphenol oxidase catalyzes this reaction, producing brown pigments. While the browning is not harmful, it is unattractive and can affect the taste of the lettuce. Tearing lettuce by hand rather than cutting it with a knife can reduce browning, as tearing tends to break the leaves along cell boundaries rather than through cells, resulting in less cell damage and less enzymatic oxidation. Let us now explore some of the cultural and symbolic meanings of lettuce around the world. In many cultures, lettuce is associated with spring, renewal, and fresh beginnings. Its appearance in gardens and markets signals the end of winter and the return of warmer weather. In cultures that observe Passover, the Jewish holiday commemorating the Exodus from Egypt, lettuce is sometimes used as the bitter herb on the Seder plate. The leaves of Romaine lettuce, which become increasingly bitter as they mature, symbolize the bitterness of slavery and the transition to freedom. In Persian culture, lettuce is a common ingredient in traditional New Year celebrations. The Haft-Sin table, the ceremonial table set for Nowruz, the Persian New Year, sometimes includes lettuce among its elements. Lettuce symbolizes freshness and vitality in this context, reflecting the renewal of nature that accompanies the spring equinox. In Chinese culture, lettuce is considered a symbol of good luck and prosperity. The Chinese word for lettuce, shengkai, sounds similar to the phrase shengkai, which means to generate wealth. Because of this phonetic resemblance, lettuce is often served at celebrations, festivals, and business openings. In the traditional lion dance performed during Chinese New Year and other festive occasions, a head of lettuce is often hung above the door of a business, and the lion eats the lettuce, symbolically bringing prosperity and good fortune to the establishment. In the Victorian language of flowers, where different plants and flowers were assigned symbolic meanings, lettuce was associated with cold-heartedness. This association likely stemmed from the ancient belief in lettuce's cooling and sedative properties. A gift of lettuce in the Victorian floral code could be interpreted as a message of emotional coldness or indifference, a rather unflattering symbolism for such a useful plant. Now, let us discuss some remarkable scientific facts about lettuce that you may never have considered. Lettuce is a diploid organism, meaning it has 2 sets of chromosomes. The lettuce genome contains 9 pairs of chromosomes, for a total of 18. In 2017, researchers published a complete reference genome for lettuce, sequencing all of its DNA and mapping the location of its genes. This achievement was a major milestone in lettuce research, as it provided scientists with a detailed blueprint of the lettuce genome that could be used to identify genes associated with important traits such as disease resistance, nutritional content, and growth habit. The lettuce genome is remarkably large for a plant, approximately 2.7 billion base pairs, which is comparable in size to the human genome. This large genome size is partly due to the presence of a high proportion of repetitive DNA sequences. These repetitive sequences do not code for proteins, but are thought to play structural and regulatory roles in the genome. Lettuce is predominantly a self-pollinating plant, meaning that each flower can pollinate itself without the need for pollen from another plant. This characteristic makes lettuce relatively easy to breed, as desirable traits can be fixed in a variety through several generations of self-pollination. However, self-pollination also means that genetic diversity within cultivated lettuce varieties can be limited, which can make them vulnerable to new diseases or pests. The flowers of lettuce are small and composite. Each flower head or capitulum consists of multiple individual florets, each of which can produce a single seed. A single lettuce plant can produce thousands of seeds, ensuring the continuation of the species even in challenging conditions. Lettuce seeds require light to germinate. This is a trait known as positive photoblastism. If lettuce seeds are buried too deeply in the soil, they will not germinate because they are not receiving sufficient light. This is why lettuce seeds should be sown on the surface of the soil or only lightly covered. The light requirement for germination is mediated by a photoreceptor called phytochrome, which detects red and far red light and signals the seed to begin the germination process. Temperature also plays a critical role in lettuce seed germination. High soil temperatures above about 77 degrees Fahrenheit can inhibit germination, a phenomenon known as thermodormancy. This is why it can be difficult to start lettuce from seed during the heat of summer. Gardeners use various tricks to overcome thermodormancy, including pre-chilling seeds in the refrigerator before planting, sowing seeds in the evening so that they experience the cooler nighttime temperatures first, or starting seeds indoors in a climate-controlled environment. The growth rate of lettuce is influenced by temperature, light, water, and nutrient availability. Under optimal conditions, lettuce can grow remarkably quickly. Some baby leaf varieties can be harvested just 21 days after planting. Even full-sized heading varieties typically mature in 60 to 90 days. This rapid growth cycle makes lettuce one of the fastest maturing vegetable crops and allows for multiple successive plantings within a single growing season, a practice known as succession planting. Succession planting is a key strategy for both commercial and home lettuce growers. By planting small batches of lettuce at regular intervals, say, every 2 weeks, growers can ensure a continuous supply of fresh lettuce throughout the growing season. This avoids the common problem of having too much lettuce at once, leading to waste, or too little, leading to gaps in supply. Let us consider for a moment the sheer scale of lettuce consumption around the world. It is estimated that billions of pounds of lettuce are consumed annually worldwide. Lettuce is one of the most popular vegetables on the planet, and its consumption has been growing steadily for decades, driven by increasing awareness of the importance of eating fruits and vegetables, the globalization of food culture, and the growing popularity of salads and other lettuce-based dishes. The per capita consumption of lettuce varies widely from country to country. In some nations, lettuce is eaten daily as a fundamental component of the diet. In others, it is less common, consumed primarily in restaurants or on special occasions. The growing middle class in many developing countries has driven an increase in lettuce consumption as consumers seek out the diverse, fresh, and healthful foods that they see in global media and that they encounter in international restaurants and grocery stores. The salad industry has become a massive business. Pre-washed, pre-cut, and bagged salad mixes have made it easier than ever for consumers to enjoy lettuce without the hassle of washing and chopping whole heads. These convenience products have been a major driver of lettuce consumption growth. They appeal to busy consumers who want the health benefits of fresh greens but do not have the time or inclination to prepare them from scratch. However, the bagged salad industry has also raised concerns. The processing of lettuce into bagged salads involves cutting, washing, and packaging, all of which can introduce or spread bacterial contamination. the modified atmosphere packaging used in bagged salads, which replaces the air inside the bag with a mix of gases designed to slow spoilage, can also create conditions that allow certain pathogens to thrive. Several high-profile recalls of bagged salads due to bacterial contamination have highlighted these risks. Food waste is another concern. Lettuce is one of the most frequently wasted foods. Its short shelf life means that lettuce often spoils before it can be consumed, whether at the retail level, in food service, or in the home. Studies have estimated that a significant proportion of all lettuce produced is wasted. Reducing lettuce waste requires improvements at every stage of the supply chain, from better harvesting and handling techniques to improved packaging and storage, to consumer education about proper storage and timely consumption. The cultural significance of salads, and by extension lettuce, has evolved dramatically over the past century. Once considered a simple side dish or a diet food, salads have been elevated to center stage in many culinary traditions. The rise of health-conscious eating, the influence of Mediterranean and Asian cuisines, and the creativity of chefs around the world have transformed the humble salad into a vehicle for culinary expression. Today, salads can be elaborate, multi-component dishes featuring a wide array of ingredients, proteins, grains, fruits, nuts, cheeses, and a variety of dressings, with lettuce providing the foundation. The Caesar salad, one of the most iconic lettuce-based dishes, deserves a moment of attention. Contrary to what many people assume, the Caesar salad was not named after the Roman Emperor Julius Caesar. It was created by Cesare Cardini, an Italian-born restaurateur, at his restaurant in Tijuana, Mexico in 1924. According to the most popular version of the story, Cardini improvised the salad using the ingredients he had on hand during a busy 4th of July weekend. The original Caesar salad featured whole romaine lettuce leaves, dressed tableside with olive oil, lemon juice, Worcestershire sauce, garlic, Parmesan cheese, a raw egg, and croutons. The dish became an instant sensation and eventually spread around the world, becoming one of the most popular salads in culinary history. The Waldorf salad, another classic, was created at the Waldorf Hotel in New York City in 1896. The original version contained only apples, celery, and mayonnaise served on a bed of lettuce. Over time, walnuts were added and the recipe evolved. The Waldorf salad represents a different approach to salad making, one that emphasizes fruit, nuts, and creamy dressing rather than leafy greens, but that still relies on lettuce as the traditional foundation. Cobb salad, a hearty composed salad featuring chopped lettuce, chicken, bacon, avocado, hard-boiled eggs, tomatoes, and blue cheese, was reportedly created at the Brown Derby restaurant in Hollywood in the 1930s. Like the Caesar salad, the Cobb salad has become a classic, beloved for its generous portions and satisfying combination of flavors and textures. These iconic salads have helped define the role of lettuce in modern cuisine and have contributed to the plant's enduring popularity. Let us take a moment to discuss the future of lettuce. What lies ahead for this ancient and essential crop? The future of lettuce is being shaped by several powerful trends. Climate change is one of the most significant. As global temperatures rise, the regions where lettuce can be grown outdoors are shifting. Areas that were once ideal for lettuce cultivation may become too hot, while regions that were previously too cold may become suitable. Droughts, floods, and other extreme weather events pose increasing risks to lettuce production. Farmers and researchers are working to develop varieties that are more heat-tolerant, more drought-resistant, and more resilient in the face of a changing climate. Genetic research is opening new possibilities for lettuce improvement. The availability of the complete lettuce genome sequence has accelerated the pace of research. Scientists are using advanced techniques such as CRISPR gene editing to make precise modifications to the lettuce genome, targeting specific genes to improve disease resistance, nutritional content, shelf life, and other important traits. While gene-edited lettuce is not yet widely available to consumers, it represents a promising avenue for future development. Vertical farming and controlled environment agriculture, as we discussed earlier, are expected to play an increasingly important role in lettuce production. As urbanization continues and arable land becomes scarcer, the ability to grow lettuce indoors, close to consumers, using minimal water and no pesticides will become increasingly valuable. Advances in LED lighting technology, automation, and artificial intelligence are making vertical farming more efficient and cost-effective. Consumer preferences are also evolving. There is growing demand for locally grown, sustainably produced lettuce. Farmers markets, community-supported agriculture programs, and farm-to-table restaurants are connecting consumers with locally grown lettuce, reducing the environmental impact of long-distance transportation and providing fresher, more flavorful greens. There is also increasing interest in heirloom and heritage lettuce varieties, old varieties that may have been neglected by commercial agriculture, but that offer unique flavors, textures, and appearances. The nutritional enhancement of lettuce is another area of active research. Scientists are working to develop lettuce varieties with higher levels of vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients. Biofortification, the process of enhancing the nutritional content of crops through breeding or genetic modification, has the potential to make lettuce an even more valuable component of a healthy diet. Lettuce is also being explored as a platform for producing pharmaceuticals and vaccines. Through genetic engineering, lettuce plants can be modified to produce specific proteins, including antigens that could be used in vaccines. The idea of a plant-based vaccine, where the vaccine is produced in lettuce leaves and administered by eating the lettuce, is still largely experimental, but it represents a creative and potentially transformative application of lettuce in the field of medicine. As we bring this first part of our documentary to a close, let us reflect on the extraordinary journey of lettuce. From its origins as a wild, bitter weed in the ancient Mediterranean to its current status as one of the most widely consumed vegetables on Earth, lettuce has traveled a path that is as long, as varied, and as fascinating as any in the history of agriculture. It has been sacred and mundane, medicinal and culinary, simple and complex. It has fed pharaohs and peasants, emperors and astronauts. It has been the subject of myths, the inspiration for art, and the focus of cutting-edge scientific research. And yet, for all its history, for all its significance, lettuce remains a modest plant. It does not demand attention. It does not assert itself. It sits quietly on the plate, cool and crisp, waiting to be noticed or ignored. It is the background, the foundation, the canvas upon which other flavors are painted. And perhaps that is the secret of its enduring success. Lettuce does not need to be the star. It is content to support, to complement, to refresh. It has been doing so for 5,000 years, and it shows no signs of stopping. Let us continue to explore the many facets of this remarkable plant. Let us delve deeper into its biology, its cultivation, its culinary uses, and its cultural significance. Let us discover the stories that hide within each leaf, each stem, each seed, because the story of lettuce is far from over. In fact, it is only just beginning. Every time you bite into a crisp leaf of lettuce, you are participating in a tradition that stretches back to the dawn of civilization. You are connecting with every farmer who has ever planted a lettuce seed, every cook who has ever dressed a salad, every healer who has ever prescribed a lettuce remedy, and every person who has ever simply enjoyed the cool, refreshing taste of a fresh green leaf on a warm day. Lettuce is more than a vegetable. It is a bridge between the past and the present, between nature and culture, between the field and the table. It is a living link to our agricultural heritage, a reminder that the foods we eat have histories as rich and complex as our own. The water that makes up the bulk of a lettuce leaf is drawn from the earth, filtered through roots, and transported through the plant's vascular system to the leaves, where it contributes to the crisp, juicy texture that makes lettuce so appealing. This water cycle from soil to root to leaf to mouth is one of the most fundamental processes in agriculture, and it connects the person eating a salad to the land, the rain, and the rivers that sustain all life. Consider the sunlight that powers a lettuce plant's growth. Through the process of photosynthesis, lettuce leaves capture light energy from the sun and use it to convert carbon dioxide and water into sugars and oxygen. These sugars fuel the plant's growth and provide calories, however modest, for the person who eats the leaf. When you eat lettuce, you are, in a very real sense, eating captured sunlight. The energy that grew the leaf was drawn from a star 93 million miles away. There is something almost magical about that thought. Let us talk about the microbiology of lettuce for a moment. A lettuce leaf is not the sterile, pristine surface it may appear to be. It is, in fact, a thriving ecosystem. The surface of a lettuce leaf, known as the phyllosphere, is home to a diverse community of microorganisms, including bacteria, fungi, and yeasts. These microorganisms colonize the leaf surface from the moment it emerges, and their populations shift and change as the leaf grows, ages, and eventually decays. Most of the microorganisms on a lettuce leaf are harmless. Many are beneficial. Some help protect the plant from pathogenic organisms by competing for resources or by producing antimicrobial compounds. The study of the lettuce phyllosphere is an active area of research, and scientists are beginning to understand how the microbial community on a lettuce leaf influences the plant's health, its susceptibility to disease, and even its flavor and nutritional content. However, as we discussed earlier, pathogenic microorganisms can also colonize lettuce leaves, posing a risk to human health. Understanding how these pathogens interact with the lettuce phyllosphere, how they survive and proliferate on leaf surfaces, and how they can be eliminated or controlled is a critical area of food safety research. The genetics of lettuce color is a fascinating subject. The green color of most lettuce leaves is due to chlorophyll, the pigment that captures light energy for photosynthesis. Red and purple colors are due to anthocyanins, which are produced in response to light exposure and other environmental factors. The intensity of red coloration in lettuce is influenced by both genetics and environment. Varieties with a strong genetic tendency toward anthocyanin production will produce red leaves even in moderate light, while varieties with a weak genetic tendency will remain green unless exposed to high light levels. Some lettuce varieties exhibit a striking pattern of red coloration, with bright red tips or margins on otherwise green leaves. Others are uniformly red or purple. The genes controlling anthocyanin production in lettuce have been identified and studied, and breeders use this knowledge to develop varieties with specific color patterns. Red lettuce varieties are popular not only for their visual appeal, but also for their higher antioxidant content compared to green varieties. The texture of lettuce is another area where genetics and environment interact in complex ways. The crispness of a lettuce leaf is determined by its cell structure, its water content, and the thickness and composition of its cell walls. Crisphead varieties like Iceberg have thick, rigid cell walls that give the leaves their characteristic crunch. Butterhead varieties have thinner, more flexible cell walls, resulting in a softer, more tender texture. Romaine varieties are intermediate, with a crisp midrib and more tender leaf margins. Water stress, insufficient watering, can reduce the crispness of lettuce by causing cells to lose turgor pressure. Conversely, well-watered lettuce is at its crispest and most refreshing. This is why lettuce is best harvested in the morning, when the plant cells are fully hydrated after the cool, humid nighttime hours. The flavor of lettuce is a complex symphony of chemical compounds. The mild, slightly sweet taste of most cultivated lettuce is the result of low levels of sugars, organic acids, and bitter compounds. The sugars provide sweetness. The organic acids, including malic acid and citric acid, provide a subtle tartness. The bitter compounds, including sesquiterpene lactones such as lactucin and lactucapacrin, provide the faint bitterness that is characteristic of lettuce. The balance between sweetness and bitterness varies among lettuce varieties and is influenced by growing conditions. Lettuce grown in cooler temperatures tends to be sweeter, while lettuce grown in heat or harvested late in the season tends to be more bitter. Lettuce that has begun to bolt is typically very bitter, as the plant produces higher concentrations of sesquiterpene lactones during the bolting process. This bitterness is a natural defense mechanism, discouraging herbivores from eating the plant and allowing it to complete its reproductive cycle. Some consumers enjoy the bitterness of lettuce, while others find it unpleasant. Sensitivity to bitter tastes varies among individuals and is partly determined by genetics. People who carry certain variants of the tostoir bitter taste receptor genes tend to be more sensitive to bitter compounds, including those found in lettuce. These individuals may prefer milder varieties like iceberg or butter lettuce, while less bitter-sensitive individuals may enjoy the stronger flavors of romaine or wild lettuce. The aroma of lettuce is subtle but distinctive. Fresh lettuce has a clean, green, slightly grassy scent that is associated with volatile compounds released when the leaves are torn or cut. The primary volatile compound responsible for the fresh green smell of lettuce is cis-3-hexenol, which is produced by the enzymatic breakdown of fatty acids in the leaf tissue. This compound is also found in many other green plants and is one of the key olfactory signals that our brains associate with freshness and nature. When lettuce begins to spoil, its aroma changes dramatically. The clean green scent is replaced by sour, musty, or ammonia-like odors as the plant tissues decompose and microbial activity increases. These off odors are a reliable indicator that the lettuce is no longer fresh and should be discarded. Let us explore one more dimension of lettuce before we conclude this first part of our documentary, the economics of lettuce farming. Lettuce farming is a business that operates on tight margins. The cost of producing lettuce includes land, water, seeds, fertilizer, pest control, labor, equipment, and energy. Labor is one of the most significant costs, as much of the work involved in lettuce production, planting, thinning, weeding, and especially harvesting, is labor-intensive and difficult to mechanize fully. Harvesting lettuce is a physically demanding job. Workers bend or stoop for hours, cutting heads of lettuce with sharp knives and placing them on conveyor belts or into bins. The work is fast-paced, as lettuce must be harvested quickly to maintain quality. It is also seasonal, with peak demand for labor during the planting and harvesting seasons. The labor force in lettuce farming has historically been made up of migrant and seasonal workers, and the industry has faced ongoing challenges related to labor availability, wages, and working conditions. Efforts to mechanize lettuce harvesting have been ongoing for decades. Robotic harvesters that can identify and cut individual heads of lettuce using cameras and artificial intelligence have been developed and tested. While these machines are not yet capable of matching the speed and skill of human harvesters, they are improving rapidly, and it is likely that they will play an increasingly important role in lettuce production in the coming years. The price of lettuce at the retail level reflects not only the cost of production, but also the costs of cooling, packaging, transportation, and retail markup. Lettuce prices can fluctuate significantly due to weather events, disease outbreaks, labor shortages, and changes in supply and demand. A severe freeze in a major lettuce-producing region can send prices soaring overnight, while an oversupply can cause prices to plummet, sometimes below the cost of production. These price fluctuations create uncertainty for both farmers and consumers. The lettuce seed industry is a sophisticated and highly competitive business. A relatively small number of seed companies dominate the global market, investing heavily in research and development to create new varieties that meet the evolving demands of farmers and consumers. The development of a new lettuce variety is a long and expensive process, typically taking 8 to 12 years from initial crosses to commercial release. During this time, breeders evaluate thousands of plants, selecting for the desired traits and discarding those that do not meet standards. The result is a steady stream of improved varieties that are more disease-resistant, more heat-tolerant, more nutritious, more attractive, and more flavorful than their predecessors. Intellectual property protection plays an important role in the lettuce seed industry. New varieties can be protected by plant patents or plant variety protection certificates, which give the breeder exclusive rights to produce and sell the variety for a specified period, typically 20 to 25 years. These protections provide an incentive for seed companies to invest in research and development, but they also raise concerns about the concentration of seed ownership and the potential impact on farmers' ability to save and replant seeds from their own crops. Heirloom lettuce varieties, old varieties that have been passed down through generations of farmers and gardeners, offer an alternative to modern commercial varieties. Heirloom varieties are prized for their unique flavors, textures, and appearances, and they represent a valuable reservoir of genetic diversity. Organizations like Seed Savers Exchange and the Svalbard Global Seed Vault work to preserve heirloom and heritage varieties, ensuring that their genetic resources are available for future generations. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault, located on the Norwegian archipelago of Svalbard, deep inside a mountain in the Arctic, holds backup copies of seeds from gene banks around the world. Among the hundreds of thousands of seed samples stored in the vault are numerous varieties of lettuce, a safeguard against the loss of genetic diversity due to natural disasters, conflicts, or other catastrophic events. The vault is a testament to the importance that humanity places on preserving the genetic heritage of our food crops, lettuce among them. One of the most remarkable features of modern lettuce production is the concept of the cold chain. The cold chain is the unbroken sequence of refrigerated storage and transportation that keeps lettuce fresh from the moment it is harvested in the field to the moment it arrives in your kitchen. Maintaining the cold chain is absolutely critical for lettuce quality. A break in the chain, even a brief exposure to warm temperatures, can accelerate wilting, browning, and microbial growth, significantly reducing the shelf life and safety of the product. The cold chain for lettuce typically begins with vacuum cooling, a technology that was first applied to lettuce in the mid-20th century. In vacuum cooling, freshly harvested lettuce is placed in a large sealed chamber. A vacuum pump removes the air from the chamber, reducing the pressure. As the pressure drops, water on the surface of the lettuce leaves evaporates rapidly, and this evaporation absorbs heat from the lettuce, cooling it quickly to near freezing temperatures. The entire process takes only about 20 to 30 minutes, and it can reduce the temperature of a pallet of lettuce from field temperature, which might be 80 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, to just above freezing. After vacuum cooling, lettuce is stored in cold rooms at temperatures between 32 and 36 degrees Fahrenheit. It is then loaded into refrigerated trucks for transportation to distribution centers and retail outlets. Throughout this journey, the temperature must be carefully monitored and maintained. Modern refrigerated trucks are equipped with temperature sensors and data loggers that record the temperature at regular intervals, providing a verifiable record that the cold chain has been maintained. The importance of the cold chain cannot be overstated. Lettuce that is kept cold from harvest to consumption can maintain its quality for up to 3 weeks. Lettuce that experiences temperature abuse, even brief warming, may begin to deteriorate within days. The cold chain is one of the great unsung achievements of modern food technology, and it is what makes it possible for consumers to enjoy fresh, crisp lettuce year-round, regardless of the season or their distance from the farm. Now, let us explore something that most consumers never think about: the water footprint of lettuce. Every food we eat requires water to produce, and lettuce is no exception. The water footprint of a food refers to the total amount of water used throughout its entire production cycle, from planting to harvest to processing to transportation. For lettuce, the water footprint is significant, though it varies depending on the growing method, the climate, and the irrigation system used. On average, producing a single head of lettuce requires approximately 15 gallons of water. This includes the water used for irrigation, the water that evaporates from the soil and the plant surfaces, and the water used in processing and cooling. In arid regions, where lettuce is often grown because of the favorable sunshine and temperature conditions, the water demand can be even higher. The reliance on irrigation in these regions means that lettuce production is directly connected to the availability and management of water resources, including rivers, aquifers, and reservoirs. The tension between lettuce production and water scarcity is one of the most pressing environmental issues in modern agriculture. In regions where water is limited, the decision to allocate water to lettuce farming must be weighed against other demands, residential use, industrial use, and the needs of natural ecosystems. Droughts can exacerbate this tension, forcing difficult choices about how to allocate a shrinking resource. Efforts to reduce the water footprint of lettuce are underway on multiple fronts. Drip irrigation, which delivers water directly to the base of each plant through a network of tubes and emitters, is far more efficient than traditional overhead sprinkler systems. Drip irrigation reduces water waste by minimizing evaporation and runoff, and it can cut water use by 30 to 50% compared to sprinkler irrigation. Many lettuce farms have adopted drip irrigation, and the technology continues to improve. Soil moisture sensors and weather-based irrigation scheduling are additional tools that help farmers optimize their water use. Soil moisture sensors measure the amount of water in the soil at various depths, allowing farmers to irrigate only when the soil moisture drops below a certain threshold. Weather-based scheduling uses data on temperature, humidity, wind, and solar radiation to estimate how much water the crop needs on a given day, adjusting irrigation accordingly. These precision irrigation techniques can significantly reduce water use without compromising crop quality or yield. Hydroponic and controlled environment systems, as we discussed in the first part, offer even greater water savings. Because the water in a hydroponic system is recirculated, very little is lost to evaporation or runoff. Hydroponic lettuce production can use up to 90% less water than traditional soil-based farming. This dramatic reduction in water use is one of the strongest arguments in favor of controlled environment agriculture, particularly in water-scarce regions. Let us now turn our attention to the role of lettuce in cuisines around the world. We have already touched on this topic briefly, but there is so much more to explore. The ways in which different cultures prepare, serve, and celebrate lettuce are as diverse as the cultures themselves. In East Asian cuisines, lettuce plays a role that may surprise those who think of it primarily as a salad green. In Korean cuisine, lettuce leaves are used as wraps for grilled meat in a dish known as sam. Diners take a fresh lettuce leaf, place a piece of grilled pork belly or beef on it, add a dab of samjang, a thick, spicy paste made from fermented soybeans and chili peppers, along with garlic, sliced chili peppers, and other condiments, then fold the leaf around the fillings and eat it in one bite. The cool, crisp lettuce provides a refreshing contrast to the rich, savory meat, and the combination is extraordinarily satisfying. Sam is a communal, interactive way of eating, and it is one of the most beloved food traditions in Korean culture. In Chinese cuisine, lettuce is used in a remarkable variety of ways. Stir-fried lettuce is a common dish, particularly in Cantonese cooking. The lettuce is cooked very briefly over high heat with garlic and oyster sauce, resulting in a dish that is wilted but still slightly crisp. The technique is simple but requires precision. Overcooking the lettuce even slightly will result in a limp, watery dish. When done correctly, stir-fried lettuce is a revelation, demonstrating that this familiar vegetable has dimensions of flavor and texture that raw preparation alone cannot reveal. As we mentioned in the first part, stem lettuce or keltus is a staple of Chinese cuisine. The thick, fleshy stem is peeled, sliced, and used in stir-fries, soups, and cold dishes. It has a clean, mild flavor and a crisp, juicy texture that is quite different from the leafy lettuce most Westerners are accustomed to. Dried keltus, sliced into thin strips and dehydrated, is a popular snack food in China, often seasoned with chili and Sichuan pepper. In Japanese cuisine, lettuce is used in salads, as a garnish, and as a component of dishes like shabu-shabu, a hot pot dish in which thinly sliced meat and vegetables are cooked in a simmering broth at the table. Lettuce leaves are briefly swirled in the hot broth, wilting them just enough to soften their texture while retaining their fresh flavor. The contrast between the hot broth and the cool, barely cooked lettuce is a hallmark of the dish. In Southeast Asian cuisines, lettuce serves as a wrap and a garnish in a wide variety of dishes. Vietnamese cuisine, in particular, makes extensive use of lettuce. In dishes like bun ch1ea3, grilled pork served with rice noodles, herbs, and dipping sauce, lettuce leaves are an essential accompaniment. Diners wrap pieces of pork, noodles, and herbs in lettuce leaves before dipping them in the sauce. The lettuce provides structure, freshness, and a cooling counterpoint to the smoky, sweet, and savory flavors of the meat and sauce. In Thai cuisine, lettuce cups are used to serve larb, a spicy salad made from minced meat seasoned with lime juice, fish sauce, chili flakes, and fresh herbs. The lettuce cups serve as edible vessels, holding the spicy, tangy larb and providing a refreshing crunch that balances the heat of the chili. Moving westward, we find lettuce playing important roles in Middle Eastern and Mediterranean cuisines. In the Middle East, lettuce is a common component of fattoush, a bread salad made with toasted or fried pieces of pita bread, mixed with chopped vegetables including lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, radishes, and herbs, all dressed with a tangy sumac and lemon dressing. Fattoush is a beloved dish throughout Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Palestine, and lettuce is central to its identity. In Turkish cuisine, lettuce is served alongside grilled kebabs and as part of the meze table, the collection of small appetizer dishes that begins a traditional Turkish meal. The crisp, cool lettuce provides a refreshing contrast to the rich, heavily spiced meats and dips that characterize Turkish cuisine. In Italian cuisine, lettuce appears in simple salads dressed with olive oil, vinegar, and salt, a preparation that has remained virtually unchanged since Roman times. The Italian concept of insalata is rooted in the idea of simplicity and quality of ingredients. A perfect Italian salad requires nothing more than the freshest lettuce, the finest olive oil, and a splash of good vinegar. The quality of the lettuce is paramount. It must be fresh, crisp, and flavorful, because there is nowhere for a mediocre leaf to hide in such a simple preparation. French cuisine has elevated lettuce to an art form. The French salade verte green salad is a staple of the French table, served after the main course as a palate cleanser. The dressing is typically a simple vinaigrette made from Dijon mustard, vinegar, olive oil, and salt. The lettuce is dressed lightly, just enough to coat the leaves without drowning them. The French approach to salad emphasizes restraint and balance, allowing the natural flavor and texture of the lettuce to shine. But French cuisine also embraces cooked lettuce preparations. Braised lettuce is a classic French side dish in which whole heads of lettuce, typically butter lettuce or little gem, are braised slowly in broth until they are meltingly tender. The braising liquid is then reduced to a glossy sauce and spooned over the lettuce. The result is a dish of extraordinary elegance and depth of flavor, one that transforms a humble vegetable into something truly memorable. Braised lettuce was a favorite of the great French chef Auguste Escoffier, and it remains a staple of traditional French cooking. Petits pois à la Française, French-style peas, is another classic preparation that features lettuce. In this dish, fresh peas are braised with shredded lettuce, pearl onions, butter, and a little sugar. The lettuce melts into the peas, adding a delicate, slightly sweet flavor and a silky texture. It is a dish that demonstrates the transformative power of slow, gentle cooking and the unexpected beauty of cooked lettuce. In British cuisine, lettuce has traditionally played a more modest role, appearing primarily in sandwiches as a garnish or in simple green salads. The classic British sandwich, a thin layer of filling between two slices of white bread, often includes a leaf of lettuce for crunch and freshness. The ploughman's lunch, a traditional pub meal, typically includes a wedge of cheese, bread, pickles, and a small salad featuring lettuce. However, British attitudes toward lettuce and salad have evolved significantly in recent decades. The influence of Mediterranean, Asian, and other global cuisines has broadened the British palate, and salads have become more varied, more sophisticated, and more central to the British diet. Supermarkets now stock a wide range of lettuce varieties and prepared salads, and restaurants feature inventive salad dishes that would have been unimaginable a generation ago. In South Asian cuisine, lettuce is less prominent than in many other culinary traditions, but it is not absent. In India, lettuce is sometimes used in salads, sandwiches, and wraps, particularly in urban areas where Western culinary influences are strong. However, traditional Indian cuisine favors cooked vegetables over raw ones, and other leafy greens such as spinach, fenugreek, and mustard greens are far more commonly used. The relative scarcity of lettuce in traditional Indian cooking is partly due to climate, as much of India is too hot for optimal lettuce cultivation, and partly due to culinary preference. In Latin cuisine, lettuce is an important ingredient in many dishes. In Mexican cuisine, shredded lettuce is a common topping for tacos, tostadas, and other dishes. The cool, crunchy lettuce provides a refreshing contrast to the spicy, savory fillings. In many parts of Central and South America, lettuce salads are served alongside grilled meats, beans, and rice, and lettuce is a standard component of the comida corrida, the set meal that is a daily ritual in many households and restaurants. In African cuisines, lettuce consumption varies widely by region. In North Africa, where Mediterranean culinary influences are strong, lettuce is commonly used in salads and as an accompaniment to grilled meats and couscous. In sub-Saharan Africa, lettuce cultivation has been growing, driven by urbanization, rising incomes, and increasing awareness of the nutritional benefits of fresh vegetables. In cities across the continent, lettuce is now available in markets and supermarkets, and it is becoming an increasingly popular component of the modern African diet. The global spread of fast food has also contributed to the worldwide consumption of lettuce. Burgers, sandwiches, wraps, and salads sold by international fast food chains invariably feature lettuce, and the expansion of these chains into new markets has introduced lettuce to consumers who might not otherwise have encountered it. While the nutritional value of a few leaves of iceberg lettuce on a burger is modest, the cultural impact of fast food on lettuce consumption is undeniable. Let us now explore some of the more unusual and creative uses of lettuce that you may not have considered. Lettuce soup is a dish that exists in several culinary traditions, but is relatively unknown to many people. French lettuce soup, or potage de ledoux, is made by cooking lettuce leaves in butter, adding broth, and simmering until the lettuce is tender. The mixture is then pureed until smooth and finished with cream. The result is a velvety, elegantly flavored soup with a delicate green color. It is a perfect first course for a spring or early summer meal, and it is a wonderful way to use lettuce that has begun to wilt or that you have in excess. Grilled lettuce is another preparation that surprises many people. Romaine lettuce, with its sturdy leaves and prominent midrib, is particularly well suited to grilling. The head is halved lengthwise, brushed with olive oil, and placed cut side down on a hot grill for just a minute or two. The heat chars the outer leaves slightly, adding a smoky, caramelized flavor, while the inner leaves remain cool and crisp. Grilled romaine is often served with a drizzle of balsamic vinegar, shaved Parmesan cheese, and a squeeze of lemon. It is a simple preparation that elevates lettuce from a raw salad green to a cooked dish with complex flavors and textures. Lettuce juice has gained popularity in recent years among health enthusiasts and advocates of juicing. Lettuce, particularly romaine and other dark-leaved varieties, can be juiced alone or combined with other fruits and vegetables. The juice is mild in flavor, slightly sweet and refreshing. Proponents of lettuce juice claim various health benefits, including improved digestion, better hydration, and enhanced sleep quality. While scientific evidence for many of these claims is limited, lettuce juice does provide a concentrated source of the vitamins and minerals found in the whole leaf. Lettuce tea is another use that connects modern wellness culture to ancient tradition. As we discussed in the first part, lettuce tea has been consumed for centuries as a remedy for insomnia and anxiety. To make lettuce tea, simply steep a few lettuce leaves in hot water for 10 to 15 minutes, strain, and drink. The tea has a mild, slightly vegetal flavor that some find pleasant and soothing. Whether it actually promotes sleep is a matter of debate, but the ritual of preparing and drinking a warm beverage before bed is itself a calming practice that many people find helpful. Lettuce has even been used in cocktails. Mixologists and bartenders have experimented with lettuce-infused spirits, lettuce syrups, and muddled lettuce leaves in cocktails. The idea is to capture the fresh, green, slightly bitter flavor of lettuce and incorporate it into a drink. Lettuce cocktails are not yet mainstream, but they represent the ongoing culinary creativity that surrounds this versatile plant. In some cultures, lettuce is pickled or fermented. While this is not a common practice in most Western countries, pickled lettuce is enjoyed in parts of China and Southeast Asia. The lettuce is salted, pressed, and sometimes fermented with spices, resulting in a tangy, crunchy condiment that can be served alongside rice and other dishes. Let us now examine the environmental impact of lettuce production more broadly. Agriculture, including lettuce farming, is a significant contributor to environmental challenges including greenhouse gas emissions, water depletion, soil degradation, and habitat loss. While lettuce is not the most environmentally impactful food, that distinction belongs to animal agriculture, particularly beef and dairy production. It is not without its environmental costs. The carbon footprint of lettuce includes emissions from farm machinery, fertilizer production and application, irrigation, cooling, packaging, and transportation. Lettuce that is grown in one region and shipped to consumers far away may travel hundreds or even thousands of miles by refrigerated truck, generating significant carbon emissions along the way. This is the concept of food miles, the distance that food travels from farm to plate, and it has become a key consideration for environmentally conscious consumers. Local lettuce production offers a partial solution to the food miles problem. When lettuce is grown close to where it is consumed, transportation distances and associated emissions are reduced. Farmers markets, community-supported agriculture programs, and urban farms bring lettuce production closer to consumers, shortening the supply chain and reducing the environmental impact of transportation. However, local production is not always the most environmentally efficient option. In some cases, lettuce grown in a region with favorable natural conditions, abundant sunshine, moderate temperatures, and available water, and shipped to distant markets may have a lower overall environmental impact than lettuce grown locally in a less favorable climate using heated greenhouses and artificial lighting. The environmental calculus is complex, and the most sustainable choice depends on the specific circumstances of production and distribution. Soil health is another important environmental consideration in lettuce farming. Intensive lettuce production can deplete soil nutrients and degrade soil structure if not managed carefully. Crop rotation, the practice of alternating different crops in the same field over successive seasons, helps maintain soil health by preventing the buildup of pests and diseases specific to a single crop and by varying the demands placed on the soil. Many lettuce farmers practice crop rotation, alternating lettuce with other vegetables, grains, or cover crops. Cover cropping is another soil health practice that benefits lettuce farming. Cover crops, plants grown not for harvest but to protect and enrich the soil, can be planted between lettuce seasons to prevent erosion, suppress weeds, fix nitrogen, and add organic matter to the soil. When the cover crop is incorporated into the soil, it decomposes and releases nutrients that benefit the subsequent lettuce crop. Organic lettuce farming, which eschews synthetic pesticides and fertilizers in favor of natural alternatives, offers environmental benefits including reduced chemical runoff, healthier soil biology, and lower exposure to pesticides for farm workers and consumers. However, organic farming typically produces lower yields per acre than conventional farming, which means that more land may be needed to produce the same amount of lettuce. This trade-off between environmental benefits and land efficiency is an ongoing debate in the agricultural community. Integrated pest management, or IPM, is an approach that combines multiple pest control strategies to manage pests effectively while minimizing environmental impact. In lettuce farming, IPM may include the use of pest-resistant varieties, biological control agents such as beneficial insects, physical barriers such as row covers, targeted application of low-toxicity pesticides, and careful monitoring of pest populations. IPM reduces reliance on chemical pesticides and promotes a more balanced and sustainable approach to pest control. The plastic waste generated by lettuce packaging is an increasingly visible environmental concern. Pre-washed, pre-cut salad mixes are typically sold in plastic bags or clamshell containers. While this packaging extends shelf life and provides convenience, it also generates significant amounts of plastic waste, much of which ends up in landfills or, worse, in waterways and oceans. The development of biodegradable and compostable packaging materials is one potential solution, and some lettuce producers and retailers are experimenting with these alternatives. Reducing packaging altogether by selling whole heads of lettuce rather than pre-cut mixes is another approach that some environmentally minded consumers and retailers are pursuing. Food waste, as we discussed briefly in the first part, is a major issue in the lettuce supply chain. Lettuce is highly perishable, and a significant proportion of the lettuce produced is wasted at various stages, in the field during processing, at the retail level, and in the home. In the field, lettuce may be left unharvested if market prices are too low to justify the cost of harvest and transportation. During processing, outer leaves and imperfect heads are discarded. At the retail level, unsold lettuce is often thrown away when it passes its expiration date. In the home, lettuce that has wilted or spoiled in the refrigerator is discarded. Reducing food waste requires action at every stage of the supply chain. Better forecasting of supply and demand can help farmers plant the right amount of lettuce. Improved processing techniques can recover more usable product from each head. Dynamic pricing at the retail level can encourage consumers to buy lettuce before it spoils. Consumer education about proper storage, creative use of leftover lettuce, and the difference between quality loss and safety risk can reduce waste in the home. Composting is one way to divert lettuce waste from landfills. Lettuce decomposes quickly in a compost pile, breaking down into nutrient-rich organic matter that can be used to enrich garden soil. Home composting and commercial composting programs both accept lettuce waste, and the resulting compost closes the nutrient loop, returning to the soil what the lettuce plant took from it. Now let us dive into the world of lettuce breeding and genetics, an area that is rapidly advancing and holds enormous potential for the future of this crop. Lettuce breeding has been practiced for thousands of years, ever since the first farmers selected seeds from their best plants to sow in the next season. But modern lettuce breeding is a far more sophisticated and scientific endeavor. Breeders use advanced techniques including marker-assisted selection, genomic analysis, and gene editing to develop new varieties with specific desirable traits. Marker-assisted selection is a technique in which breeders use DNA markers, short sequences of DNA that are associated with specific traits, to identify plants that carry desirable genes without having to grow them to maturity and evaluate their physical characteristics. This speeds up the breeding process considerably. Instead of waiting months for a plant to grow and assessing its disease resistance, nutritional content, or other traits visually, breeders can test a tiny sample of leaf tissue from a seedling and determine within days whether it carries the desired genetic markers. Genomic analysis goes even further, providing a comprehensive picture of a plant's entire genetic makeup. By sequencing the DNA of lettuce plants and comparing their genomes to the reference genome published in 2017, researchers can identify specific genes and gene variants associated with important traits. This knowledge allows breeders to make more informed crosses and to predict the outcome of breeding experiments with greater accuracy. CRISPR gene editing is the most cutting-edge tool available to lettuce researchers. CRISPR allows scientists to make precise, targeted changes to specific genes in the lettuce genome. Unlike traditional genetic modification, which typically involves inserting genes from other organisms, CRISPR editing can be used to modify the plant's own genes, turning them on, turning them off, or altering their function. This precision makes CRISPR a powerful tool for improving disease resistance, nutritional content, growth habit, and other traits. For example, researchers have used CRISPR to develop lettuce varieties with enhanced resistance to downy mildew, one of the most destructive diseases of lettuce. By identifying the genes that downy mildew exploits to infect the plant and editing those genes to make them resistant, scientists can create varieties that are naturally resistant to the disease without the need for chemical fungicides. CRISPR has also been used to explore the genetics of bolting in lettuce. By identifying and modifying the genes that control the bolting response, researchers hope to create varieties that are more tolerant of heat and long days, extending the growing season and reducing the risk of crop failure due to premature bolting. The nutritional enhancement of lettuce through breeding and genetic engineering is another active area of research. Scientists have developed experimental lettuce varieties with elevated levels of specific nutrients, including vitamin C, vitamin E, beta-carotene, and iron. While these enhanced varieties are not yet commercially available, they represent a promising approach to improving public nutrition through the food supply. One particularly intriguing line of research involves using lettuce as a biofactory for the production of pharmaceuticals. Researchers have engineered lettuce plants to produce human proteins, including insulin, growth factors, and vaccine antigens. The idea is that these proteins can be produced cheaply and efficiently in lettuce plants, purified and used in medical applications. This approach, known as molecular farming or farming, could dramatically reduce the cost of producing certain medications and make them more accessible in developing countries. Lettuce has been used as a model organism in plant biology research. Its relatively short life cycle, its ease of cultivation, and the availability of its complete genome sequence make it a convenient subject for studying fundamental biological processes such as photosynthesis, gene regulation, and plant pathogen interactions. Discoveries made using lettuce as a model organism have implications far beyond the lettuce itself, contributing to our understanding of plant biology in general. Let us now explore some truly surprising and little-known facts about lettuce that will deepen your appreciation for this extraordinary plant. Lettuce is related to the compass plant. Wild lettuce, Lactuca cereola, is sometimes called the compass plant or prickly lettuce because of a remarkable behavior. When growing in full sun, its leaves tend to orient themselves in a north-south direction, with their edges facing east and west. This alignment minimizes the exposure of the leaf surfaces to the intense midday sun, reducing water loss and heat stress. The orientation of the leaves can be so consistent that travelers have reportedly used wild lettuce as a natural compass. While this compass behavior is an adaptation of the wild plant and is not typically observed in cultivated lettuce, it is a fascinating example of the sophisticated survival strategies that plants employ. Lettuce seeds can remain viable for several years if stored properly. Under cool, dry conditions, lettuce seeds can maintain their ability to germinate for 3 to 5 years, and some sources report viability of up to 10 years or more. This longevity allows farmers and gardeners to store seeds from year to year, and it enables seed banks to maintain collections of lettuce varieties over extended periods. The number of lettuce varieties in existence is staggering. It is estimated that there are more than 1,000 named varieties of cultivated lettuce worldwide. These varieties differ in leaf color, shape, size, texture, flavor, growth habit, disease resistance, and climatic adaptation. The diversity of lettuce varieties is a testament to the plant's genetic flexibility and to the centuries of human effort that have been invested in its improvement. Lettuce can be regrown from a stem. If you cut a head of romaine or butter lettuce and place the base of the stem in a shallow dish of water, new leaves will begin to sprout from the center within a few days. This simple trick, popular among home gardeners and kitchen experimenters, demonstrates the plant's ability to regenerate from its growing point. While the regrown leaves will not produce a full-sized head, they can provide a small harvest of tender, fresh greens. Lettuce was once believed to be an aphrodisiac. We discussed the ancient Egyptian association between lettuce and the fertility god Min in the first part of our documentary. This belief persisted in various cultures for centuries. In contrast, as we also noted, the ancient Greeks and Romans believed that lettuce diminished desire. This contradiction has intrigued historians and scholars for generations. The most likely explanation is that the Egyptians focused on the milky sap as a symbol of fertility, while the Greeks and Romans focused on the sedative properties of the sap, which could reduce arousal. The same physical property of the plant was interpreted through different cultural lenses, producing opposite conclusions. Lettuce was once considered a luxury food. In medieval Europe, fresh lettuce was not always easy to obtain, particularly during the winter months when gardens were dormant. Wealthy households that could afford to maintain heated growing spaces or to import fresh produce from warmer regions enjoyed lettuce as a mark of their status. The association between fresh salads and wealth persisted into the early modern period and beyond. The world record for the heaviest head of lettuce, according to various record-keeping organizations, is truly impressive. Giant lettuce heads weighing over 20 pounds have been grown by competitive gardeners. These enormous specimens are typically grown using specialized techniques, including extended growing seasons, intensive fertilization, and careful selection of large-headed varieties. While these giant lettuces are more curiosities than practical food products, they demonstrate the remarkable growth potential of the lettuce plant under optimal conditions. Lettuce has been the subject of scientific experiments studying the effects of music on plant growth. While the scientific evidence for the influence of music on plant growth is mixed and often methodologically questionable, some researchers have reported that lettuce plants exposed to certain types of music or sound frequencies grew faster or larger than control plants. These experiments are more curiosities than established science, but they reflect the broader human fascination with the relationship between sound, vibration, and living organisms. The color of light under which lettuce is grown significantly affects its growth, nutritional content, and appearance. Research has shown that lettuce grown under red LED light tends to accumulate more sugars and has a sweeter flavor, while lettuce grown under blue LED light tends to produce more compact, thicker leaves with higher concentrations of certain phytonutrients. Combining red and blue light in specific ratios can optimize both growth and nutritional quality. This knowledge is being applied in vertical farms and controlled environment facilities, where LED lighting can be precisely tuned to produce the desired characteristics in the crop. Lettuce roots, though less studied than the leaves, have their own fascinating biology. Lettuce has a taproot system, with a primary root that grows downward and lateral roots that spread outward through the soil. The root system is relatively shallow. Most lettuce roots are found within the top 12 inches of soil, which is why the plant is sensitive to drought and requires consistent moisture. The roots form associations with soil microorganisms, including mycorrhizal fungi, which extend the effective reach of the root system and help the plant absorb nutrients from the soil. Lettuce is sensitive to ethylene gas, a natural plant hormone that accelerates ripening and senescence in many fruits and vegetables. Exposure to ethylene can cause lettuce to develop brown spots, to wilt prematurely, and to deteriorate more quickly. For this reason, lettuce should not be stored near ethylene-producing fruits such as apples, bananas, or tomatoes. In commercial storage and transportation, ethylene management is an important aspect of maintaining lettuce quality. Let us now return to the topic of food safety and explore it in greater depth. We touched on the risks of foodborne illness associated with lettuce in the first part, but this issue is important enough to warrant further discussion. The vulnerability of lettuce to bacterial contamination is a consequence of several factors. First, lettuce is typically eaten raw. Cooking kills most foodborne pathogens, but since lettuce is generally consumed without cooking, any bacteria present on the leaves at the time of consumption can potentially cause illness. Second, lettuce is a low-acid food, meaning that its pH is not acidic enough to inhibit the growth of many pathogens. Acidic foods like citrus fruits and tomatoes are naturally hostile to many bacteria, but lettuce does not offer this protection. Third, the physical structure of lettuce leaves, with their irregular surfaces, folds, and crevices, can harbor bacteria that are difficult to remove through washing. The most common pathogens associated with lettuce-related foodborne illness include Escherichia coli O157H7, Salmonella species, Listeria monocytogenes, and norovirus. E. coli O157H7 is a particularly dangerous strain that can cause severe illness, including bloody diarrhea, kidney failure, and in some cases, death. Outbreaks of E. coli infection linked to lettuce have been traced to contaminated irrigation water, proximity to livestock operations, and inadequate sanitation during processing. Salmonella contamination of lettuce can occur through contact with contaminated water, soil, or equipment. Salmonella is a resilient bacterium that can survive on lettuce leaves for extended periods, even under refrigeration. Symptoms of salmonella infection include diarrhea, fever, and abdominal cramps, and while most cases resolve without medical treatment, severe infections can be life-threatening, particularly in young children, the elderly, and individuals with compromised immune systems. Listeria monocytogenes is a bacterium that can grow at refrigerator temperatures, making it a particular concern for ready-to-eat foods like bagged salad mixes. Listeria infection or listeriosis can cause severe illness, including meningitis and septicemia, and it is especially dangerous for pregnant women, newborns, the elderly, and immunocompromised individuals. Norovirus, a highly contagious virus that causes gastroenteritis, can contaminate lettuce through contact with infected food handlers or through contaminated water. Norovirus outbreaks linked to salads and other raw produce are not uncommon, and they highlight the importance of proper hand hygiene and sanitation in food preparation. The food safety challenges associated with lettuce have prompted a range of responses from regulators, industry, and researchers. Regulatory agencies have established food safety standards for lettuce production, including guidelines for water quality, worker hygiene, animal exclusion, and post-harvest handling. The Leafy Greens Marketing Agreement, a voluntary program adopted by many lettuce producers, sets food safety standards that exceed government requirements and includes mandatory audits and testing. Research into methods for decontaminating lettuce is ongoing. Chlorine washing is the most commonly used method in commercial processing, but its effectiveness is limited, and concerns about chemical residues and environmental impact have led to the exploration of alternative methods. Ozone treatment, ultraviolet light, electrolyzed water, and bacteriophage application are among the novel approaches being investigated. Each has its advantages and limitations, and no single method has emerged as a complete solution. Consumer education is also an important component of lettuce food safety. Simple practices like washing hands before handling lettuce, refrigerating lettuce promptly, consuming it within a few days of purchase, and being aware of food safety recalls can significantly reduce the risk of illness. However, it is important to understand that washing lettuce at home, while advisable, does not guarantee the removal of all pathogens. The most effective approach to lettuce food safety is a comprehensive farm-to-fork strategy that addresses contamination risks at every stage of the supply chain. Let us now explore the fascinating world of lettuce in popular culture and folklore. Lettuce has a surprisingly rich presence in myth, legend, and folk belief. We have already discussed the Egyptian association of lettuce with the god Min and the Greek myth of Adonis dying on a bed of lettuce. But there are many more stories and beliefs to explore. In ancient Greek medical tradition, the physician Galen, who practiced in the 2nd century CE, recommended lettuce as a remedy for insomnia and as a treatment for excessive libido. Galen's writings on lettuce were influential for centuries, shaping medical practice across Europe and the Islamic world. His recommendation to eat lettuce before bed to promote sleep became a widely accepted piece of medical advice that persisted well into the modern era. In medieval European folklore, lettuce was sometimes associated with witchcraft and the supernatural. Some folk traditions held that lettuce planted by a woman would not grow unless she was virtuous. Others believed that wild lettuce, with its potent sap and bitter taste, had protective properties and could ward off evil spirits. These beliefs reflect the broader medieval tendency to attribute magical properties to plants, particularly those with unusual physical characteristics. The Brothers Grimm fairy tale Rapunzel has a direct connection to lettuce. In the original story, the character Rapunzel is named after a plant Rapunzel, which is a type of salad green closely related to lettuce. In some versions of the tale, the plant is explicitly identified as a type of lettuce. The story begins when a pregnant woman develops an intense craving for the Rapunzel growing in a witch's garden. Her husband steals the Rapunzel for her, and when he is caught, the witch demands their firstborn child as payment. The child, named Rapunzel after the plant, is imprisoned in a tower. This fairy tale, one of the most famous in the world, has its roots in the human desire for fresh greens, a desire so powerful that it drives the plot of the entire story. In the world of idiom and expression, lettuce has made its mark as well. The slang use of lettuce to mean money, as in cold hard lettuce, has been documented in various forms over the years. The association may derive from the green color shared by lettuce leaves and banknotes, or from the idea of lettuce as something crisp, fresh, and desirable. Whatever its origin, the expression reflects the place of lettuce in the popular imagination. Lettuce has appeared in numerous works of visual art throughout history. In addition to the Dutch still life paintings we mentioned in the first part, lettuce has been depicted in ancient Roman mosaics, in medieval illuminated manuscripts, in Renaissance botanical illustrations, and in modern photography and graphic design. The visual appeal of lettuce, its varied colors, its intricate leaf shapes, its play of light and shadow, makes it a natural subject for artists working in many media. In the world of competitive eating, lettuce has been the subject of eating contests and speed eating challenges. While these events are light-hearted and somewhat absurd, they reflect the cultural fascination with food and the human desire to push limits, even in the pursuit of consuming as much lettuce as possible in a given time. Let us now discuss the role of lettuce in nutrition research and dietary guidelines. Lettuce is a featured component of dietary guidelines issued by health organizations around the world. These guidelines consistently recommend increased consumption of fruits and vegetables, including leafy greens like lettuce, as part of a balanced diet. The specific recommendations vary, but the underlying message is consistent. Eating more vegetables, including lettuce, is associated with better health outcomes. Epidemiological studies, large-scale studies that examine the relationships between dietary patterns and health outcomes in populations, have consistently found associations between higher vegetable consumption and reduced risk of chronic diseases, including heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and certain cancers. While it is difficult to isolate the specific contribution of lettuce from the broader pattern of vegetable consumption, lettuce is one of the most commonly consumed vegetables, and its inclusion in the diet contributes to overall vegetable intake. Some researchers have specifically examined the health effects of lettuce consumption. Studies have found associations between regular lettuce consumption and improved markers of cardiovascular health, including lower blood pressure, lower cholesterol levels, and reduced inflammation. These effects are likely due to the combination of nutrients and phytonutrients in lettuce, including potassium, folate, vitamin C, and various antioxidants. The role of lettuce in weight management has been the subject of considerable research. As we discussed in the first part, lettuce's low caloric density and high water content make it a useful tool for managing body weight. Studies have shown that consuming a large salad before a meal can reduce overall caloric intake for that meal, potentially contributing to weight loss over time. The mechanism is straightforward. The volume of the salad fills the stomach, triggering satiety signals that reduce the desire to eat more. However, it is important to note that the health benefits of a salad depend heavily on what goes into it besides the lettuce. A salad loaded with high-calorie dressings, croutons, bacon, cheese, and other toppings can contain as many calories as a burger and fries. The lettuce itself remains low in calories, but the overall nutritional profile of the salad is determined by the sum of its parts. Choosing simple dressings, lean proteins, and an abundance of vegetables alongside the lettuce maximizes the health benefits of a salad. The glycemic index of lettuce is very low, meaning that it has minimal impact on blood sugar levels. This makes lettuce an excellent food choice for individuals with diabetes or those at risk of developing diabetes. The fiber in lettuce also helps slow the absorption of sugars from other foods consumed at the same meal, further moderating the glycemic response. Lettuce is naturally free of gluten, making it suitable for individuals with celiac disease or non-celiac gluten sensitivity. It is also naturally low in sodium, which is beneficial for individuals managing hypertension, and it is free of cholesterol, as are all plant foods. Now let us consider lettuce from a philosophical and ecological perspective. Lettuce, like all cultivated plants, exists at the intersection of nature and human intention. It is a product of natural evolution, shaped over millions of years by the forces of natural selection. But it is also a product of human design, shaped over thousands of years by the deliberate choices of farmers and breeders. The lettuce you eat today is both a wild organism and a domesticated one, carrying within its genome the legacy of both its natural history and its human history. The domestication of lettuce, the process by which wild lettuce was gradually transformed into cultivated lettuce, involved a series of changes that are collectively known as the domestication syndrome. These changes include reduced bitterness, reduced latex production, larger leaves, more tender texture, delayed bolting, and the formation of heads in some varieties. Each of these changes made the plant more useful and more palatable to humans, but they also made it less fit for survival in the wild. Cultivated lettuce is dependent on human care for its survival. Without planting, watering, weeding, and protection from pests, cultivated lettuce would quickly be outcompeted by wild plants and would disappear from the landscape. This dependence is a defining characteristic of domesticated organisms. It is a trade-off. The plant receives the benefits of human care and cultivation, while the human receives the benefits of a reliable, nutritious food source. The relationship between humans and lettuce is, in this sense, a mutualistic one. Each party benefits from the association, but it is also an asymmetric one, as the human is the dominant partner who controls the terms of the relationship. The ecological role of lettuce in agricultural landscapes is worth considering. In a field of lettuce, the plant interacts with a complex web of other organisms, soil microbes, insects, birds, mammals, and other plants. These interactions can be beneficial, neutral, or harmful. Beneficial insects like pollinators and predators of pests contribute to the health of the lettuce crop. Harmful organisms like aphids, slugs, and fungal pathogens threaten it. Neutral organisms simply coexist without significant impact. The management of these ecological interactions is at the heart of sustainable agriculture. Rather than seeking to eliminate all other organisms from the lettuce field, an approach that relies heavily on pesticides and monoculture, sustainable farmers seek to create a balanced ecosystem in which beneficial organisms thrive and harmful organisms are kept in check by natural processes. This approach requires a deeper understanding of ecology and a willingness to tolerate some level of pest damage in exchange for a healthier, more resilient agricultural system. Cover crops, hedgerows, buffer strips, and other habitat features can be incorporated into lettuce farming landscapes to support biodiversity and ecosystem services. These features provide habitat for beneficial insects, birds, and other wildlife, and they can improve soil health, reduce erosion, and filter water. The integration of these features into lettuce farming is a key component of the agroecology movement, which seeks to apply ecological principles to agricultural practice. Let us now discuss some of the social and labor issues associated with lettuce production. Lettuce farming, like much of agriculture, relies heavily on manual labor. Planting, weeding, and especially harvesting lettuce are labor-intensive tasks that require physical stamina, skill, and speed. The workforce in lettuce farming has historically been composed largely of migrant and seasonal workers, many of whom face challenging working conditions, low wages, and limited access to health care, housing, and legal protections. The physical demands of lettuce harvesting are significant. Workers typically spend long hours bent over or stooping, cutting heads of lettuce with sharp knives and placing them on moving conveyor belts or into boxes. The work is fast-paced as harvesting crews move rapidly down the rows to keep up with the pace of the harvesting machine. Exposure to sun, heat, dust, and pesticide residues are occupational hazards. Repetitive motion injuries, back problems, and skin conditions are common among lettuce harvest workers. Labor rights and fair working conditions in the lettuce industry have been the subject of advocacy and activism for decades. Efforts to improve wages, working conditions, and legal protections for farm workers have had some success, but challenges remain. The seasonal and migratory nature of the work makes it difficult to organize workers and enforce labor standards. The low profit margins in lettuce farming put downward pressure on wages and working conditions. Mechanization and robotics offer the potential to reduce the reliance on manual labor in lettuce farming, but they also raise questions about the impact on workers who depend on harvesting jobs for their livelihoods. The transition to automated harvesting, if and when it occurs on a large scale, will need to be managed carefully to avoid exacerbating social inequalities. Fair trade and ethical sourcing initiatives are beginning to address some of the social issues in the lettuce supply chain. Some retailers and food service companies have implemented programs that require their lettuce suppliers to meet specific standards for worker welfare, including fair wages, safe working conditions, and access to grievance mechanisms. While these programs are not yet universal, they represent a growing awareness of the social dimensions of lettuce production. Let us now turn to some of the most recent and exciting developments in the world of lettuce. In 2023 and 2024, researchers announced several breakthrough discoveries in lettuce genetics. New studies identified genes controlling leaf shape, leaf color, and resistance to multiple diseases, opening the door to the development of improved varieties with unprecedented precision. The availability of advanced genomic tools has accelerated the pace of discovery, and the next generation of lettuce varieties promises to be more nutritious, more resilient, and more sustainable than any that have come before. The rise of personalized nutrition, the idea that dietary recommendations should be tailored to an individual's unique genetic makeup, microbiome, and health status, has implications for how we think about lettuce. As our understanding of the relationship between diet and health becomes more nuanced, it may become possible to recommend specific lettuce varieties based on an individual's nutritional needs. For example, someone with a higher need for folate might be advised to eat more romaine lettuce, while someone at risk for macular degeneration might be encouraged to choose varieties high in lutein and zeaxanthin. The integration of artificial intelligence into lettuce farming is another exciting development. AI-powered systems can analyze images of lettuce plants to detect diseases, nutrient deficiencies, and pest infestations at an early stage, allowing farmers to intervene before problems become severe. AI can also optimize irrigation scheduling, fertilization, and harvesting timing based on real-time data from sensors in the field. These technologies have the potential to improve both the efficiency and the sustainability of lettuce production. Robotic lettuce harvesters, equipped with cameras and machine learning algorithms, are being tested in fields around the world. These machines can identify mature heads of lettuce, assess their quality, and harvest them with a precision that approaches that of a skilled human worker. While the technology is not yet ready for widespread commercial deployment, rapid progress is being made, and it is likely that robotic harvesters will become a common sight in lettuce fields within the next decade. The concept of regenerative agriculture, farming practices that not only sustain but actively improve soil health, biodiversity, and ecosystem function, is gaining traction in the lettuce industry. Regenerative practices include minimal tillage, cover cropping, composting, crop rotation, and the integration of livestock. By building soil organic matter and enhancing soil biology, regenerative agriculture can improve the long-term productivity and resilience of lettuce farming systems while sequestering carbon and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Space farming, which we touched on in the first part, continues to advance. Following the success of the veggie experiment on the International Space Station, NASA and other space agencies have expanded their research into growing food in space. Lettuce remains a focus of these efforts due to its rapid growth, its compact size, and its nutritional value. The advanced plant habitat, a more sophisticated growth chamber installed on the space station, has been used to grow lettuce and other crops under carefully controlled conditions. The data from these experiments is informing the design of food production systems for future missions to the Moon and Mars. The psychological benefits of growing and eating lettuce in space are also being studied. Researchers have found that tending plants provides astronauts with a sense of purpose, a connection to nature, and a break from the monotony of life in a confined environment. The sight, smell, and taste of fresh lettuce in space, where all food is typically freeze-dried or thermostabilized, is a powerful morale booster. As we plan for longer and more distant space missions, the role of lettuce and other fresh foods in supporting the mental health of astronauts will become increasingly important. Let us now explore the symbolic and metaphorical dimensions of lettuce one more time. Throughout history, lettuce has served as a symbol of various human experiences and aspirations. In ancient Egypt, it symbolized fertility and the renewal of life. In ancient Greece, it symbolized death and the fleeting nature of beauty. In medieval Europe, it symbolized temperance and the cooling of passions. In the Victorian language of flowers, it symbolized cold-heartedness. In Chinese culture, it symbolizes prosperity and good fortune. These diverse symbolic meanings reflect the remarkable versatility of lettuce as a cultural object. The same plant can mean different things to different people in different times and places. Lettuce is a mirror that reflects the values, beliefs, and preoccupations of the cultures that grow and consume it. In the modern world, lettuce has taken on new symbolic meanings. For health-conscious consumers, it symbolizes wellness, vitality, and the commitment to a nutritious diet. For environmentalists, it can symbolize the tension between industrial agriculture and ecological sustainability. For food justice advocates, it can symbolize the inequities in the food system, the paradox that the people who grow and harvest lettuce often cannot afford to buy it for their own families. For home gardeners, lettuce symbolizes the simple pleasure of growing your own food, the satisfaction of planting a seed, tending a plant, and harvesting a leaf that you will eat within minutes at the peak of its freshness and flavor. There is something deeply gratifying about this connection to the earth, this participation in the ancient cycle of planting and harvesting that our ancestors practiced for millennia. Let us consider for a moment the sheer improbability of lettuce, a wild, bitter, prickly weed, growing unnoticed in the rocky soils of the ancient Mediterranean, is noticed by humans for its milky sap. Over thousands of years, through patient selection and cultivation, it is transformed into one of the most popular and widely consumed vegetables on the planet. It travels across continents, adapts to new climates, inspires myths and legends, fuels economies, and nourishes billions of people. It is grown in the most advanced agricultural facilities on Earth and in the most remote laboratory in the cosmos, the International Space Station, orbiting 250 miles above the planet. If you had told an ancient Egyptian farmer, tending his lettuce along the banks of the Nile, that one day his humble crop would be grown in the void of outer space, he would have thought you were telling a story as fantastical as any myth. And yet, here we are. As we near the end of our documentary, let us compile some additional remarkable facts about lettuce that deserve mention. Lettuce is one of the few vegetables that is almost never canned. The high water content and delicate texture of lettuce make it unsuitable for the canning process, which involves high temperatures that would reduce the leaves to an unappetizing mush. While virtually every other common vegetable, from beans to corn to tomatoes, is available in canned form, lettuce remains stubbornly resistant to this preservation method. It demands to be eaten fresh, and this demand is part of its character. Lettuce is one of the fastest growing crops in the world. Under optimal conditions, some varieties can go from seed to harvest in as little as 3 weeks. This rapid growth rate makes lettuce an ideal crop for urban farms, school gardens, and other settings where quick results are desired. The latex or milky sap of lettuce has been studied for its potential use in industrial applications. Some researchers have explored the possibility of using lettuce latex as a source of natural rubber or as a raw material for the production of bioplastics. While these applications are still in the early stages of research, they represent creative and potentially valuable uses for a substance that is currently considered a waste product. Lettuce can absorb heavy metals and other pollutants from contaminated soil, a property known as phytoremediation. While this ability makes lettuce a potential tool for cleaning up contaminated sites, it also means that lettuce grown in polluted soil can accumulate harmful levels of heavy metals, posing a risk to consumers. This is why it is important to grow lettuce in clean, uncontaminated soil and to be cautious about growing lettuce in urban environments where soil contamination may be present. The concept of lettuce as a superfood has been debated in nutritional circles. While lettuce does not have the concentrated nutrient density of some other leafy greens like kale or spinach, it offers unique advantages. Its mild flavor makes it palatable to a wide range of people, including children who might reject stronger-tasting greens. Its crisp texture and refreshing quality make it satisfying to eat, and its low caloric content allows for generous consumption without caloric excess. In this sense, lettuce may not be a superfood in the strictest sense, but it is a super useful food, one that makes it easy and enjoyable for people to eat their greens. The shelf life of lettuce is one of the ongoing challenges in the food industry. Despite advances in cold chain management and packaging technology, lettuce remains one of the most perishable products in the produce aisle. Researchers are working on multiple fronts to extend lettuce shelf life, including the development of edible coatings that slow moisture loss and microbial growth, the use of modified atmosphere packaging with optimized gas compositions, and the breeding of varieties with naturally longer shelf life. Lettuce has been the subject of art installations and conceptual art projects. Artists have used lettuce to explore themes of impermanence, consumption, growth, and decay. In one notable project, an artist planted lettuce seeds in the shape of a giant human face, allowing the lettuce to grow, mature, and eventually bolt and die, creating a time-lapse meditation on the life cycle. In another project, thousands of heads of lettuce were arranged in a public space, inviting visitors to take a head and eat it, challenging assumptions about the value and disposability of food. The economics of organic lettuce production present interesting dynamics. Organic lettuce typically commands a premium price compared to conventionally grown lettuce, reflecting the higher costs of organic production methods and the willingness of consumers to pay more for perceived health and environmental benefits. The organic lettuce market has grown rapidly in recent years, and organic lettuce now accounts for a significant and growing share of total lettuce sales. This growth has encouraged more farmers to transition to organic production methods, further expanding the supply of organic lettuce. The relationship between lettuce and the microbiome is an emerging area of research. The gut microbiome, the community of trillions of microorganisms that inhabit the human digestive tract, plays a critical role in health, influencing immune function, metabolism, mood, and disease risk. Preliminary research suggests that consuming lettuce may influence the composition of the gut microbiome, potentially promoting the growth of beneficial bacteria. The fiber in lettuce serves as a prebiotic, providing food for beneficial gut bacteria, while the phytonutrients in lettuce may have direct effects on microbial communities. This is a rapidly evolving field, and future research may reveal important connections between lettuce consumption and gut health. The future of lettuce may also be shaped by the emerging field of cellular agriculture. Researchers are exploring the possibility of growing lettuce cells in bioreactors, producing leaf tissue without the need for soil, sunlight, or traditional farming. While this technology is in its earliest stages and faces significant technical and economic hurdles, it represents a radical reimagining of how lettuce could be produced in the future. Climate-smart lettuce varieties are being developed to help farmers adapt to a changing climate. These varieties are bred to tolerate higher temperatures, resist drought, and withstand the extreme weather events that are becoming more frequent as global temperatures rise. The development of climate-smart varieties is a race against time, as the effects of climate change on agriculture are already being felt and are expected to intensify in the coming decades. The cultural significance of lettuce continues to evolve in the age of social media. Food bloggers, influencers, and content creators share lettuce-based recipes, salad art, garden tips, and nutrition information with millions of followers around the world. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube have become powerful vehicles for promoting lettuce consumption and celebrating the beauty and diversity of this humble vegetable. The viral lettuce water trend, in which people steep lettuce in hot water and drink the resulting tea as a sleep aid, swept across social media platforms, drawing millions of views and reigniting interest in the ancient belief in lettuce's sedative properties. Community gardens and school gardens have become important venues for introducing people to lettuce and to the joys of growing food. In these settings, children and adults alike learn where their food comes from, how it grows, and why it matters. Lettuce, with its ease of cultivation and rapid growth, is often one of the first crops planted in these gardens. The experience of growing lettuce, planting a tiny seed, watching it sprout, tending it as it grows, and finally harvesting and eating it can be transformative, fostering a connection to the natural world and a deeper appreciation for the food we eat. Let us consider one final dimension of the lettuce story, its role in the broader context of food security. Food security, the condition in which all people at all times have access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food, is one of the great challenges of our time. With a global population expected to reach 10 billion by 2050, the demand for food will increase dramatically. Meeting this demand while protecting the environment and ensuring equitable access to food will require innovation, cooperation, and a fundamental rethinking of how we produce and distribute food. Lettuce has a role to play in meeting this challenge. As a fast-growing, nutrient-dense, water-efficient crop that can be grown in a wide range of environments, from open fields to greenhouses to vertical farms, lettuce is well suited to the demands of a food-insecure world. Its ability to be grown close to consumers in urban and peri-urban settings reduces the need for long-distance transportation and increases access to fresh food in communities that might otherwise lack it. Urban agriculture, including rooftop gardens, community plots, and vertical farms, is expanding rapidly in cities around the world. Lettuce is one of the most commonly grown crops in urban agriculture, and its cultivation in these settings provides multiple benefits: fresh, nutritious food for local communities, green space that improves air quality and reduces urban heat, educational opportunities for children and adults, and social cohesion as neighbors come together to grow and share food. The concept of food sovereignty, the right of peoples to define their own food systems and policies, is also relevant to the lettuce story. Food sovereignty emphasizes local control over food production, the preservation of traditional farming practices, and the right of farmers to save and exchange seeds. Heirloom lettuce varieties, preserved and shared by networks of gardeners and seed savers, are a tangible expression of food sovereignty. They represent an alternative to the industrial seed system, one that values diversity, heritage, and community self-determination. As we bring this documentary to a close, let us take a moment to appreciate the full arc of the lettuce story. We began in the wild with a bitter, prickly weed growing in the sun-baked landscapes of the ancient Mediterranean. We followed this plant as it was noticed, cultivated, and gradually transformed by human hands. We traveled with it through the great civilizations of antiquity, Egypt, Greece, and Rome, where it was revered, studied, and celebrated. We accompanied it as it spread across Europe, carried by Roman legions and preserved by medieval monks. We watched as Renaissance scientists and farmers developed new varieties and new understandings of the plant. We traced its journey into the modern era, where industrialization, technology, and globalization transformed it from a garden vegetable into a global commodity. Along the way, we discovered that lettuce is far more than the simple leaf it appears to be. It is a source of essential nutrients and health-promoting phytonutrients. It is a vehicle for culinary creativity, appearing in dishes from Korean essam to French braised lettuce to grilled romaine. It is a symbol with meanings that have shifted across cultures and centuries. It is an economic engine supporting thousands of farms, businesses, and workers around the world. It is a subject of cutting-edge scientific research from genomics to space farming. And it is a humble, accessible food that connects us to the earth, to each other, and to the long history of human agriculture. The 500 facts we have shared in this documentary represent just a fraction of what there is to know about lettuce. Every head of lettuce in a grocery store, every leaf in a salad, every seed in a packet carries within it a story that stretches back thousands of years and forward into an unknown future. The story of lettuce is not finished. It is being written every day, in every field where a farmer plants a seed, in every kitchen where a cook prepares a meal, in every laboratory where a scientist makes a discovery, and in every garden where a child watches a tiny green sprout emerge from the soil for the first time. Lettuce reminds us that even the most ordinary things can be extraordinary when we take the time to look closely, to ask questions, and to learn. It reminds us that the foods we eat are not just commodities to be consumed and forgotten. They are gifts from the earth, products of centuries of human ingenuity and labor, and connections to a heritage that belongs to all of us. The next time you sit down to eat a salad, pause for a moment, look at the lettuce leaf on your fork. Consider its journey from seed to soil, from field to market, from market to your plate. Think about the ancient farmers who first cultivated its ancestors. Think about the scientists who study its genes. Think about the workers who harvested it. Think about the water, the sunlight, and the soil that nourished it. And then take a bite and taste 5,000 years of history, because that is what you are eating, not just a leaf, not just a vegetable. You are eating a story, the story of lettuce, one of the oldest, most resilient, and most remarkable plants in the human experience. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Thank you for your curiosity, your attention, and your willingness to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. The story of lettuce is the story of us, of our creativity, our persistence, our relationship with the natural world, and our never-ending quest to nourish ourselves and each other. Remember to share this video with someone who loves food, history, or gardening. Leave a comment telling us which fact surprised you the most. And subscribe to our channel because there are many more stories like this waiting to be told. The world of food is vast, ancient, and full of wonders, and we have only just begun to explore it. Until next time, keep eating your greens.